Okay, let's talk through all these golf events that you have coming up.
Gabby, I'm glad you asked. Got my calendar right here. July 17th at Red Run, and then July 31st, I have the American Golf Outing for the Cancer Society.
I also have the American Cancer Society golf outing on the 31st, and also I got yours on the 18th, buddy.
Yeah,
I'm
boys,
these are a lot of events and golf outings.
well, you want me to miss my own golf tournament?
Gabby, they're all great colors.
I mean, this
Okay,
is...
hold on. I got this. Guys, I got this. Don't worry about it. Hold on a second.
He always...
Hey guys. Coming so fast. How are ya? You guys from Randy Wise, right? The Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour.
Watch for the eye.
Stay tuned.
It's the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour. Some of the biggest names in Michigan sports, and some, well, not so much. Brought to you in part by Premier Security Solutions, Fairway Packing Company, and Swiss Insurance. Watch episodes at woodwardsports.com.
Good morning. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. It's Wednesday, June 28th, and it's draft day. Ooh. It's draft day. I feel like we just went through this last week, and now we get to do the Red Wings. I'm your host, Jeff Iafrate, alongside me, my partner in crime, Sam Flannel, in the booth. Back this week. I'm happy he's back, by the way. And he has the new shirt, the new merchandise, JB. Got the Laporta Potty shirt on from the WoodwardSports.com merch store.
Oh yeah, the Laporta Potty.
That is probably, I mean, there's no one out there making better merch. Laporta Potty, you can.
No one is making better merch than we are right now. You gotta go to the shop. You gotta check this out. You gotta get one before the season starts.
Show the shirt, like move it up a little bit, just because I need to see the
I'll
bottom.
back up a little bit so you
Like
guys
look. I love that Laporta Potty. And back with us, she was out last week, but she's back. Gabrielle D. Phillips. How was your trip?
It was perfect. It was wonderful. Had a little trouble getting back. Was supposed to be back on Monday. And apparently everyone wants to come back to America, so all the flights getting back were booked after I missed my first one. But we're here.
You went to Finland?
Yes, went to Finland. And it was beautiful and so relaxing, and completely understand why it is the happiest place in the world.
Okay.
Yeah, easily. See, Finland, that's the spot. I
yeah.
mean, I got Italy on my bucket list. I want to go to Italy, of course, but Finland, Europe in general.
Yeah.
Gabby was out on vacation, but she was really scouting for Steve Eiserman. That's what she was doing.
Is that what you're doing?
Exactly.
In the TD booth, Alex Westfall, Lucas Klotz, as usual. And guys, it's an exciting day. Steve Eiserman, and it's like eating dinner when you know you have one of the best chefs, right? You know you're going to have a good meal. It's like Brad Holmes, Troy Weaver on draft day. It makes it even more exciting. And you see a lot of rumors, too, floating around. And I want to talk about it today. Michael Gentry will be joining us later in the show, who covers the Red Wings for us. And we'll be breaking down the Red Wings picks, some potential trade scenarios, all that and much more. We also have some Lions later on in the show as well. Jameson Williams' trainer, he came out and talked about Jameson Williams. And his trainers trained some of the best wide receivers in the NFL. So you're going to want to hear what he said about him. Jerry Jacobs went on Good Morning Football as well, talked about that Lions secondary. And he was gassing them up.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk about where you think they rank in the NFL. But more than that, let's focus on the NHL draft. And, guys, the rumors that you at least see recently in the most the rumor that's popping up the most, Alex DeBrincat.
Ooh.
From the Ottawa Senators, the right winger, and somebody that is from Michigan, a guy who, again, in two of his NHL seasons has put up more than 40 goals. And what does this team need?
Goals.
Guys that can put the puck in the net. So I get why the interest is there for Alex DeBrincat. It's, again, he's a restricted free agent. And the Red Wings, and there you go, there's the tweet. Spencer had a great tweet, actually. He writes, Alex DeBrincat has 160 goals in 368 NHL games. If the Red Wings bring him in, he will be the best pure goal scorer in Detroit since Brett Hull, and will push Larkin to a whole new level. See, I love that. And that's the bigger thing, too, especially on draft day. It's not just the picks I'm excited about. It's what can happen. And if a deal is going to get done like this, like an Alex DeBrincat, trading for him, you would assume, Sam, that it is on draft day. it would be on today.
You would definitely assume on draft day. And I'm not saying that the Red Wings should definitely go get Alex DeBrincat, although I would probably be all for that. I just want to tell you a little bit more about what Alex DeBrincat could potentially bring to the Detroit Red Wings. Spencer Raxter already articulated that in a very well-worded tweet, which I agree with everything that he says. But yeah, like you said, Jeff, Alex DeBrincat has had 2 40-goal seasons, which is not something that you can just discount. It is phenomenal. Right now in the NHL, there are only 18 active players who have 2 40-goal seasons. And some of those guys include names you might have heard of, like Alexander Ovechkin, Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, Leon Draisaitl, Patrick Kane, guys like that, Hall of Famers, all-time greats. I'm not saying Alex DeBrincat is that. I'm saying he is in that club.
Yes.
And last year, we talked about it. What was one of the things that haunted this Detroit Red Wings team the most? They were 9th worst in terms of goals scored per game, which is about where they've been floating for the last 5 or so years, although most years they've actually been worse. And Alex DeBrincat is a 2-time 40-goal scorer. And the last time the Red Wings have had a 40-goal scorer, it has been a long time. Care to travel back to the 08-09 season, in which it was Marian Hossa who scored 40 on a team that lost in heartbreaking fashion in the Stanley Cup in 7 games. I'm not saying that bringing Alex DeBrincat, you're going back to the Stanley Cup. All I'm saying is you need goal scorers on this team. They don't just grow on trees. And I would be willing to probably give up more than a lot of Red Wings fans would be comfortable for a guy like Alex DeBrincat. I think we'll talk more about that later with Michael Gentry, but that's just Alex DeBrincat's a guy.
Yeah, he is. He's a dude. But the question is, what does a trade package look like? You'd assume it'd be one of those first-round picks, preferably 17. I don't think the Red Wings are trading 9 at all, and I don't think Steve Yzerman anticipates moving 9, but you'd trade 17, maybe one of those second-round picks, and then you ask yourself, what player would be dealt in that deal as well? You'd assume it's Zadina. But again, is it Zadina or is it more?
Probably take more than Zadina.
Exactly. That's because I see Zadina floating around. I don't think that would get the deal done, but you never know. I mean, the Ottawa Senators don't really have a lot of leverage right now with Alex DeBrincat, but he is still a part of their team. And for the future, I guess, Steve Yzerman, I want to read some of these notes that, quickly just throughout the draft, because Brad Galley tweeted this out. Just some highlights for today. He says Steve Yzerman anticipates picking at 9 and 17. I think he's more anticipating 9 than 17, but we'll see. He also writes, won't move picks, prospects for rentals. That's important. He also writes, believes Detroit's core is not a contender yet, which is also important because that makes deals like this more and more likely. He also says 3 second-rounders provide intrigue, which he's not wrong about that. Alex DeBrincat was a second-rounder.
Yes.
Fun fact, if you didn't know that. I love it. I obviously want Alex DeBrincat. You talk about a pure goal scorer. This team lacks that. You look at the NHL now, and me and Adam always have these conversations. The over-unders on total goals for the game, this year, you're hitting over. It's a different league. Like, you're seeing results 5, 4, 7, 6. Like, you need guys that can put the puck in the net. And the Red Wings don't have a lot of those guys. They have young prospects that you like, guys that are coming up. But still, to get a guy like Alex DeBrincat, who's only 25 years old, by the way. Only 25 years old. And in his young career has had 2 seasons in which he scored more than 40 goals. Like, he's a dude. So I'm all for it. I'm going to break that down and much more with Michael Gentry later. But, Gabby, what do you think? Alex DeBrincat from Michigan.
Yes, which... I mean, we talk a lot about like what it means to be a player on these teams, and I think you see how much the fan base has gone behind Dylan Larkin, and I think you would see the same thing obviously with DeBrincat. Do I think he's going to give away or trade away that first pick, number 9? Not going to happen. I think it would be more likely that it would be 17. Maybe packaging in there those 41, 42, 43 potentially, but from that standpoint, I don't see him giving away 9. I see him packaging Zadina 17 and making something happen there. But as we see with Yzerman, it really could just take a phone call. Maybe it's just a phone call and one player. I don't doubt his abilities whatsoever to make something like that happen.
Yeah, I feel like that's a common theme with all Detroit GMs. If you get a phone call from 313, you just let it ring, unless you're interested. Because if you want to pick up that phone, you might hang up that phone after the phone call and say, what the hell did I just do?
You might, yeah.
Like, you might end up, Steve Yzerman makes a call over to Ottawa, and by the time that phone call's finished, It's Zadina, a second-round pick, and 17 for DeBrincat.
Well, I would make that deal. I would be coming in here the next day, just probably shirtless doing this show because I'd be so happy. Because
Watch what you say.
Yes, right. Exactly.
I don't know if I want that, but
well, you know what? That's what you guys are going to get if it happens, because you all will be happy anyway. Because in my opinion, that sort of a deal would be a fleece. In my opinion, it would probably take giving away somebody like maybe even a Simon Edvinson
It'd be a prospect,
in a trade package, and I don't know if a lot of people would be comfortable giving up Simon Edvinson. But another fun fact about Alex DeBrincat, because I love stuff like this because I am a geek, he has the same amount of 40-goal seasons as Sidney Crosby, Nikita Kucherov, and Patrick Kane. Those are some pretty big names.
At 25.
At 25, he could get more. Imagine him getting more of those 40-goal seasons with the Detroit Red Wings.
No, I'm with you. It's impressive to even say the least. But I'm with you about what it would take to get Alex DeBrincat. I don't think it's going to be Zadina, but I think it'll be something more. Now, the question is, will Ottawa, even if the trade is intriguing, trade him in the division? I think that's the other part of it. I don't think it should matter, but you can't deny teams think about that, because if you botch a trade and you trade him in your division, it's similar to what the Lions did with TJ, but they obviously weren't worried about TJ. But if you're trading someone like Alex DeBrincat, who has 2 40-goal seasons in his young career, in your division, and you mess up, Sam, Ottawa's never going to be able to sleep at night.
Well, and that's why you might have to give them an offer that they can't refuse.
Right.
And to me, the only person, I know we'll talk more about it with Michael Gentry, I'm curious to see where he is on this. The only player to me that is 100% you can't trade him under any circumstances is Mo Sider.
Yes.
I'm willing to give up just about anybody else in a trade package.
Lucas Raymond?
Yes, absolutely. 1,000%. Lucas Raymond, quiet as kept, kind of regressed last year. I'm just saying, going from 57 points his rookie year to 45.
Yeah. He had a little bit of a sophomore. So, I mean, again, love Lucas Raymond, but again, like if you're telling me I can get Alex DeBrincat, I'm at least going to think about it. Feel free to chime in too, to everybody joining the YouTube chat thread.
I don't think at this point it's a matter of if they're going to get him. I think it's a matter of how they're going to get him,
okay,
and what that looks like, and what the terms of that contract are. I think Detroit's high on his list of where he wants to go. Imagine like going back to the hometown, playing for your hometown team. It's high on his list. It's been rumored that it's high on his list, allegedly.
Yes, I think it makes the most sense for both sides. I think the Red Wings need Alex DeBrincat, and Alex DeBrincat, I think fit-wise would fit perfectly, at least in Detroit. To shout out some of the people in the chat here, we got Paul Thomas, Chuck Brewer, Jack Harrington, Shane D, Big Show Picks, Eric Burrow, Henderson, Philip C. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget, if you're watching live, leave a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if you're watching on the website, feel free to check out the merchandise, like what JB's repping today, and all of our articles from our talented writers. You feel free to go check out some Red Wings articles as we're putting them out as the draft's approaching. But just to continue, we're going to go to break. When we come back, I want to show Sam Flannel this interesting article I found, and I want his reaction to it.
Oh, I can't wait for
because
this.
It is his team. It is about Jim Harbaugh, and we're going to get to that quickly in a little bit. But before we do, Sam, could you tell everybody where they can get a good workout in?
Absolutely, where Alex DeBrincat can work out when he comes to the Detroit metro area, and that, of course, is Planet Fitness. And Planet Fitness is doing this really cool thing for high schoolers ages 14 through 19 in the United States and Canada. They're allowing them to work out for free all summer long. You can register today and get access to the club for free all the way up until August 31st. So you still have 2+ months. So even if you haven't got on that yet, you should get on that now. And for the rest of us, folks who are not teenagers between the ages of 14 through 19, if you are not a member of any gym, go to Planet Fitness, because they are the best gym out there, and they have memberships starting at only $10 a month, or you can upgrade to the Black Card and get more amenities, like being able to work out at any Planet Fitness across the country for $24.99 per month. $24.99. That is not a bad price for all the amenities. Ooh-wee, you are crazy if you don't take that. My little Ryan Ermanni impression right there, or homage to. But anywho, join today in club online or visit planetfitness.com. It's Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
Essential!
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
Jeff Iafrate here, and your outdoor childhood may be over, but playtime is certainly not. Outdoor Equipment Company is your source for power equipment and outdoors. Sales, service, and parts carrying top brands such as Bad Boy, LS Tractor Still, and much more, servicing the Great Lakes region with locations in Metro Detroit and Greater Lansing. For more information, visit them at OutdoorEquipco.com. Outdoor Equipco, your power equipment playground. We're back here on the Morning Woodward Show, Woodward Sports Network. Jeff Iafrate, Sam Flannel, JB, Gabby, and in the TD booth, as always, Alex and Lucas. We're going to jump to Michigan for a second here. We're going to get to Red Wings in the second hour. We'll get a little bit of Lions in there as well. But I saw this yesterday, Sam, and I couldn't just let it go by and not acknowledge it, not bring it on the show for you to see.
All right.
Did you guys see this? Michigan, and you can put it up now. Jim Harbaugh in Michigan have added, quote, beat Georgia, period of practice. Beat Georgia. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, and I lost my hair because of this. They didn't lose to Georgia.
No, they did not.
They lost to TCU.
They did.
And they didn't win a playoff game.
No, they did not.
So why is Georgia your main concern when you haven't won a playoff game in the last 2 seasons?
Oh, man, there is a lot to unpack here. First of all, I have to give the caveat because I've done it a million times, and I'll do it for the million and first time. The TCU loss was absolutely horrible and unacceptable. I saw it. I saw J.J. McCarthy throw 2 pick sixes. I saw Michigan have 2 empty possessions inside the TCU 2-yard line. I saw when they needed to stop TCU going on a touchdown drive, which started with a 46-yard completion to Quentin Johnston. I saw Michigan when they needed to stop give up a 69-yard run to TCU's backup running back D. Mercado when Kendre Miller was out. I saw when Michigan cut the lead to 41-38 and then gave up a 75-yard catch and run from Max Duggan to Quentin Johnston to put the game out of reach. I saw all of that. That was terrible. It was awful. I still have cold sweats and nightmares over that. Someday, if I have a kid, I will be telling the story about that was the one time where your mother ever saw me cry. I shed a single tear during that game. And the next day, I got it from everyone. I showed up to work. I got it from Neil Rule on Big D Energy at Feldman that day. And then I actually got the call to do Ermanni and Edwards with Spencer, who is a Michigan State fan. I got it from everybody. I took it. I took all of the lumps on the chin, and I'm still taking lumps to this day. That is awful, obviously, and I get it. But here's the thing. A lot of the anti-Michigan people, they say stuff like Michigan's only concerned about winning Big Tens. Michigan always is cocky for no reason, even though they don't do anything. Michigan celebrates wins against Michigan State, and that is a loser mentality for only wanting to beat them, only wanting to be Big Ten dominant. I hear that every minute of every day when it comes to being on these shows about Michigan football and their fans. Here are two things that I have to say about all of that. One, Michigan is concerned with winning a national championship. They now know after last season that it is national championship or bust because something like that can't happen again. And who are the last 2 national champions? Georgia. So the fact that they're actually concerned with that should mean that Michigan is doing exactly what everybody wants. And 2, this is not the same old Michigan teams of yesteryear. We look at the latter days of Lloyd Carr, the entire Rich Rod tenure, the entire Brady Hoke tenure, the beginning of Harbaugh. It was one of the worst eras of Michigan football ever. They once went through a stretch where they lost 15 out of 16 to Ohio State, but Michigan has gotten it back on track. They've beaten Ohio State 2 years in a row. By double digits, by the way, both times, including by 22 at Columbus.
That is true.
They won the Big Ten 2 years in a row. But yes, they indeed have flamed out in the college football playoff. But now all the same people who are just concerned, oh, you guys are only concerned about winning the Big Ten. You guys don't care about national games. And now we do. Now we're concerned about beating Georgia, and this to me is the year where Michigan takes that next step. And I actually have some I don't even know if I would call them numbers, but some interesting tidbits on why Michigan, like I believe, is actually, this is the best Michigan team I have seen in many, many years, including the last couple of years. I've noticed before the season that Michigan seems to have a lot of talent coming back. And our good friend Booner, who you might recognize from filling in on the heavyweights a couple of times, on the pregame and postgame Lions and college football shows last year, he sent me this list, which I thought was very, very interesting. It was a 100 days before college football. It listed the top 100 players coming into this season, the website was on 3, and Michigan had a whopping 7 of them. Running back Blake Corum, I think we would all agree with that. Cornerback Will Johnson, or as I should call them, 2023 Thorpe Award winner and 2024 top 10 draft pick Will Johnson.
Yeah, he's a dog.
The dude is him. Defensive tackle Chris Jenkins, filling a need that was left by Mozzie Smith. Guard Zach Zinner, who, you know that Michigan offensive line, the defending 2-time Joe Moore Award winner. Quarterback J.J. McCarthy. I think we would all agree with that, at least on potential. He's lower on the list, but he's on the list.
Coming off 2 pick sixes in a playoff game, but
and 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, including the game of his life at Ohio State. We can pick and choose any of the stats we want, including helping bring them back at the end and lead the offense to 45 points, help dig them out of the hole that he helped dig against TCU. But anywho, we can pick and choose anything we want. Running back Donovan Edwards. I think we all agree that he is a stud. He's actually very low on the list.
Yeah, he is.
And safety Rod Moore. What all that tells me is they have a lot of talent coming back at all different positions. And you know what else? Michigan has 7 players on that list. I know it's just one list of one website, and it's just their opinion. Ohio State, one of the teams that Michigan in theory should be worried about, but I'm not worried about them. Look at what Michigan's done to them the last couple of years. They also have 7 of the top 100 according to this website, the exact same as Michigan, and they lost their quarterback. I am not worried about Ohio State for a second, because why should I be? Even the great Georgia, who everybody expects to just reload and be just as good as always, they only have 7 players on this list. At some point, you can't keep losing players to the draft. In the last 2 seasons, they've lost 8 players to the first round of the NFL draft, and it's very, very hard to three-peat in college football. I think we would all agree with that. That's why you almost never see it. I can't even think of the last time I've seen it. It's been years and years and years. And what about Alabama, another team that everyone just expects to just reload and everything is going to be just fine? Last season was actually one of the worst Alabama teams under Nick Saban. They didn't even make the college football playoff. They only have 5 players, only 5, on that list of top 100. And who all did they lose to the NFL draft last year? Bryce Young, Jahmyr Gibbs, who we're very intimately familiar with, Brian Branch, who we're also intimately familiar with, and maybe the best of them all, Will Anderson. So I'll tell you what, Michigan, this is the year to get all of these teams. And I think that this is the best chance they've had in many, many years to win the national championship. And I don't mind them at all for focusing on Georgia. They should roll all through the Big Ten. And all of you should be happy that we're finally thinking bigger than the Big Ten. That's what you all want, and that's what they're doing right now. I love it.
No, and I understand where you're coming from, by the way. When you look at it big picture, yes, the goal is to win a national championship. So I understand if you're chasing Georgia. But it's like Dan Campbell, and I know it's different sports, but it's like the Lions putting up in the locker room in Allen Park. Like, we're chasing the Chiefs. We want the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, which, again, they could do that. But then also you look at it and you'd say, really? Like, even for a team like Michigan, though, who is, compared to the Lions, they're contenders, and they honestly should have made it last year. You could have argued. I thought they'd beat TCU. I thought they should have beat TCU. And you got J.J. McCarthy now a year older. A lot of guys are coming back, so it makes sense. But you just don't really see this. For a team that has yet to get over that first hump, which is just winning a playoff game, to already have your eyes set on winning a national championship, let's just get there first. And whoever's there, you can beat. But for Michigan, they just got to win a playoff game, no matter who it's against. It should have been last year, Sam. That was a layup.
Of course it was a layup.
But things happen, and it wasn't.
Things do
So
happen.
I understand why you write Georgia, but at the same time, I don't like it. Because you haven't even won a playoff game.
Well, first of all, I don't like the comparison to the Detroit Lions, because Michigan is one of 2 schools in the past 2 seasons to make both college football playoffs, where you have a 1 in 4 chance of winning the national championship. And of course, they lost both of them. I give you that. But the Detroit Lions last season did not even make the playoffs.
And by the way, they better keep that energy with Georgia, because that playoffs, they're going to be expanded. So it's not just Georgia. You're going to be facing different teams. So I can't wait for that. But I wanted to bring this up because I knew you'd go on a spiel, and I knew you'd bring facts. I knew you'd bring stats. And again, for Michigan, of course, you want to win a national championship. It's about damn time. They should, and they're good enough to do it.
Yes.
You're just lucky Max Duggan is out of the NCAA now.
Oh, Max
he's
Duggan.
in the NFL now. Because
Oh,
if Max Duggan was back at TCU, I'd be terrified.
I mean, they also lost 7 other draft picks. I mean, Max Duggan was a very, very fine college quarterback. I mean, the way that he motivated Quentin Johnston to run and break the DJ Turner tackle after he threw that little pass. I mean, I get it. He's got those special skills. And I'm not poo-pooing on Max Duggan. He was a Heisman front runner. He had a damn good season, and he was the quarterback of the team that ultimately beat Michigan in the college football playoff. I'm just saying that this year has to be the year where Michigan actually goes to the playoffs and does something about it.
Oh, of course.
100%. I am all aboard the national championship or bust train because that's what getting upset in the playoffs by an inferior TCU team. I'm not discrediting them. They deserve to win.
But they're inferior.
They were inferior. They had more talent than you think. They actually had 8 players drafted, but they also they didn't have nearly the players that would be coming back this year. And those same players were on Michigan's last year team. So I am not worried. I'm not worried about them focusing on Georgia. I think it's the right energy.
Yeah, I guess in a way, I look at it like you're looking ahead, but in big picture, it makes sense. It is championship or bust for Michigan. I said that last year, even before the TCU game, and I think it's the same energy. It's not just winning a playoff game. You got to make the national championship game. Because the first year, 2 years ago, you made it. You lost to Georgia. We understand. It's a different level playing field. You come back the next season, you face TCU. That should have been a layup, or at least some sort of layup. Maybe not an easy win, but they were the better team. We knew that. This season, no excuses.
No excuses.
It's championship or bust, but those are the expectations you want. Ohio State, I don't think, with Kyle McCord, we'll see, but I don't think he's C.J. Stroud. You never know, but I don't think so. So Michigan, at least, in the Big Ten, I think has more of an open playing field, at least in the Big Ten. Big picture-wise, I think they're contenders. And people would agree, too. 70% of the people in the poll voted yes, that they will make the Natty this season. Of course, a lot of Michigan fans, but even if you ask national media, I think a lot of people would look at Michigan like, yeah, they should make the national championship this season.
Well, and that's what
I don't see too many guys threatening them.
Well, and that's what drives me crazy. The casual Michigan haters just drive me insane because a lot of them treat Michigan and this Michigan fan base like it's 2017, 2018 again, where they were good enough to win most Big Ten games, but they would get mollywopped by Ohio State in the final game. This is not the same old Michigan team. This is a team that has climbed the mountains that they had such a hard time climbing for the past 15, 20 years. They have gotten over that hump. The only hump that Michigan has not gotten over is winning the national championship.
The biggest hump.
We're not worried at all about the Big Ten anymore. I mean, I get it. I'm not going to take it all for granted because winning the Big Ten is a great accomplishment. But at this point, it's another Big Ten championship without more success in the college football playoff is not going to do a whole lot. Then Jim Harbaugh will be more known as a coach who can't win the big one at the national level, akin to what Bo Schembechler was. Of course, we all know he was 2-8 in Rose Bowls. I don't want that tradition to continue at Michigan. Coaches who can dominate the Big Ten and teams that can dominate the Big Ten, but get smashed on the national level. But right now, I mean, we all realize the Georgia one. I think that loss to Georgia, Michigan was just happy to be there.
Yes.
As a fan, I was even happy to be there. Last year was a disaster, though. And that loss changes people. It changes the players. It changes the fans. I think it changes the coaches. They got to go out and make up for it. They have to. They have no choice.
Chuck says, poor Jeff is still getting nightmares over his hair, and it shows. Yeah, I mean, Chuck, I'm not denying
You suffered,
that.
too.
I suffered. I went through some things, mentally, physically. You know, it was tough. But you know what? And I may have a vendetta against Michigan. I may or may not. I'm not going to admit that. I'm frustrated. But guess what? Next season, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that again. No more hair. No more hair bats and anything.
Yeah.
It was one of the dumbest things I've done. But anyway, glad we got that done over with.
And
Michigan, national contenders.
Yes.
But even if they're looking ahead to Georgia, just win a damn playoff game. How about that?
Well, I mean,
Just do that.
Well, that would obviously, if they go one and done again in the playoffs, then it's an absolute abject disaster. And Chuck Brewer actually brought something up that, and you know, I kind of had my vendetta against Chuck Brewer yesterday, but he's come correct today. He said that Jim Harbaugh couldn't beat Ohio State until he could. I'm just saying, at some point you have to rise above and change your reputation. Mm-hmm. And now that Jim Harbaugh has led this Michigan team to 2 consecutive Big Ten titles and 2 decisive victories over Ohio State, he is trending from being a coach who was on the verge of being fired to, in my opinion, trending to possibly becoming the greatest coach in Michigan football history if he keeps it up. you can change a lot with just one game, with just one victory.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're going to get to Jamison Williams next segment. I want to bring up what his trainer spoke about Jamison and some of his skill set that, again, we haven't been able to see on full display in an NFL game, but his trainer provided great insight. But before we do that, Sam, can you tell us about our friends over at Randy Wise? Or Gabby, can you tell us about our friends over at Randy
I'll
Wise?
take it this time because Randy Wise is where you can go and get a celebrity level vehicle, just like the Woodward Sports Celebrity Golf Tour show. Thanks to Randy Wise, you can head over to one of the locations and have a chance to enter to win a trip for you and your friends to go to one of the best golf courses in the state of Michigan. So go over to Randy Wise, sign up, and speak to one of their fantastic car dealers and get yourself in a celebrity level vehicle. It's been a minute.
Big Boy Strawberry Fest has officially arrived, and we're here to show you the very best flavors of the season. Satisfy your sweet tooth with our deep fried vanilla Oreos, strawberry hot fudge cake, and a slice of our classic strawberry pie. But that's not all. Cool off on a refreshing summer splash salad, or savor the flavors of our chicken Caesar wrap and strawberry bacon chicken wrap. And for breakfast lovers, don't miss out on our strawberry hotcakes or our mouth-watering red velvet waffle. Strawberry Fest is something for everyone. Celebrate the sweet season with us at Big Boy.
You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Thanks for sticking with us. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on Woodward Sports Network. Jeff Iafrate, Sam Flannel, JB Gabby, and Lucas Klotz. By the way, guys, if you're watching on our YouTube channel, hit the like button, subscribe, chime into the YouTube chat there. But if you're on the website, which you should be, check out all our latest news and articles from our wonderful, talented writers like Matthew Broder. We got Terry Foster contributing as well, and more. And merchandise, which JB's repping. He got the Laporta Potty shirt on, by the way. Have not seen that design made at all.
Laporta
other than
Potty.
Woodward Sports. Woodward Sports original right there. Laporta Potty. I mean, they don't get much better than that.
Give him a little show again. Give him
You
step back.
we gotta see the Porta.
One more time. You got it this time.
There we go.
Move the
it's
mic.
a
Move the
Lions-themed
mic. Yep.
Porta Potty. Like that is unreal. It is. Speaking of Lions-themed things, what about Jamison Williams?
Oh, yes.
And his trainer came out, by the way, and his trainer, who has worked with some of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and again, his name is Brandon White, if you don't know him already. He called Jamison Williams the real deal. And again, this is a guy he brought in, didn't know really what to expect, and Brandon White's trained Jarvis Landry, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, Jerry Jeudy, Calvin Ridley, Tyreek Hill. Like, as
Names
you can
you
see,
may know.
You may, if you're not familiar with, you should be. George Pickens, Deebo Samuel, and White connected with, and this is per Pride of Detroit, by the way, who broke down this article, is Jeremy Reisman. They did a great job, and he wrote about how they connected back at Ohio State, and again, where he's come from Ohio State, he talks about the most. He brought Jamison in, didn't know what to expect, was curious where he was mentally. Like, what's this kid got? Does he want it? What's his work ethic look like? And you know what Jamison Williams did pretty quickly? He asked him for Tyreek Hill's film. And Brandon White described that as something that he usually, when people ask for other guys' film, that means, well, they're hungry because they want to watch film on other guys. They're not just there to get their work in. Hey, let me go watch Tyreek Hill. How does he do these drills? How does he work? What's his process? Jamison Williams asked Brandon White about Tyreek Hill. Again, Brandon White writes in this, or he talks about in this article, he's consistently early to his practice sessions, never takes a rep off. When it comes to studying the game, Williams has gone over the top to learn. And he writes here, quote from Brandon White, at this past event that we had, we were sending all the players the clips of their drills. Here, check yourself out. He wanted his, and he wanted Tyreek Hill's and a couple of other players. He was the only player to ask for somebody else's clip. What does that tell you? And the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because with Jamison Williams, although we haven't seen a lot of him in the NFL, the thing that gets misconstrued, I think, for Jamison is his love for football. Like, does he love football? Like, does he have that dog in him? Who is Jamison Williams? Not too many people really know who Jamison is. And when you see things like this, and you see people questioning his maturity, where is he at mentally, and then you see this, Brandon White, someone he has a close relationship with, describes Jamison as one of the hardest working guys he's ever met. Like, that's got to be significant to a guy who's coming off an ACL injury, has worked his ass off to get back, and then now is facing a 6-game suspension, in which everybody just immediately assumes, man, he doesn't want it. The dude, he's a bust. He doesn't want it. The guy, he's immature. Where's he at mentally? This shows you right here that he has a love and a passion for the game. He loves football. And that's been shown. I mean, you don't get drafted in the top 15 if you don't love football.
No.
So, like, typically, you have to be very good at it. So, therefore, you have to work to be very good at it. Jamison Williams, to me, I think this whole maturity thing, Sam, to bring up this article, is overblown.
Well, I've always thought the maturity thing was overblown. There's obviously some questions about Jamison Williams that I think are fair for the record, but we'll get to that a little bit later. A couple of things that stood out from what you told me was he asked for Tyreek Hill film. And I'm not saying that Jamison Williams is going to be Tyreek Hill, but what I am saying is that there are very few people in the history of football who can approximate Tyreek Hill's football speed on the field, and Jamison Williams is one of them. I think he compares more to Jalen Waddle than Tyreek Hill, but if Jamison Williams can even be an approximation of Tyreek Hill, he is going to be a superstar in this league. And from everything that you've told me about his work ethic, from everything that I've read, from a lot from that guy who's worked with some of the best wide receivers in the game right now,
Brandon
working with
White.
Jamison Williams, that is quite the endorsement. It just shows me that Jamison Williams is primed for a comeback which, quite frankly, he kind of owes to the Detroit Lions. I understand that when the Lions drafted him, Jamison Williams was injured. There was an expectation that he might not contribute much to the team this past year. But Jamison Williams did get on the field in Week 14 against the Minnesota Vikings, caught a touchdown pass, and then never caught a pass the rest of the season. I thought that was a slight bit of a red flag, although he also had a 40-yard run and a touchdown catch that was called back against the Packers. That broke my heart in two because that was Jamison Williams' best play of the season. And then he followed that up with a gambling suspension, which I think as more information comes out, it seems more and more ridiculous. But at the same time, if it was that ridiculous, why aren't gambling suspensions being handed out left and right to players throughout the league? That's the one question I have.
Yes.
But I do think Jamison Williams, he has the wherewithal, he has the talent, he has the motivation to come back and be that star for the last 10, 11 weeks of this season, be what the Lions drafted him to be, which is that one of the greatest sort of threats with the football that you could see in the NFL for the next 5 to 10 years, because he has that kind of talent. He has that kind of speed. The season that he had at Alabama was one of the greatest seasons I've ever seen by a college football wide receiver, just purely as a weapon. And he's also a more complete wide receiver than I think people were giving him credit for, than I think the Lions utilized him as last year when it seemed like he was just running a bunch of go routes. This is the Jamison Williams comeback season. And I hope that by the end of the year, you'll see the value that he brings to this team. He becomes a star, and he shuts people up, like even myself at times, who have had some concerns about his inavailability. And of course, to the people who are calling him a bust, which is absurd at this point, but it is fair to have some questions. I think Jamison Williams shuts us all up at the end of the year and makes us all forget that any of this injury and gambling stuff ever happened. I really do.
Yeah, Jeff W. in the WoodwardSports.com chat, he says he's going to be a star in the NFL. It's coming. Chuck says, Jeff, if we follow you around 24/7, I bet we get to call you and the rest of the young 20s immature. Yeah, that's potentially true.
Damn.
Ransom, 6-game suspension and still might get 1,000 yards receiving. Bronco81 says J-Mo is going to go crazy this year. And it's funny because part of this, he writes in the article how humble he is. Humble, which is a key word, because it seems like from at least what the people think, he's the opposite of humble.
Right.
And with J-Mo, he has this quote right here. Brandon White said this: I've met some guys in my journey that were different dudes. We're working with this position here, but anything about J-Mo and character concerns would be news to me, meaning that's a different language. I don't know what that means, character concerns with Jamison Williams. And let me tell you something. Jamison wasn't available, and we didn't expect him to really be available at all his rookie year, but he was. He showed some flashes. Again, he didn't get involved a ton, but now you have an entire offseason to work with Jared Goff. You're going to have 6 games where he's really going to have to sit there, not play football. We know how much he loves the game, so he's going to miss it. I think when he gets back after 6 games, he's going to be even more motivated than ever, and I do think you're going to get a hungry, healthy, ready-to-go J-Mo, who I think will make an impact immediately. I don't think there should be a grooming process for J-Mo again. I think initially maybe you see a couple snaps in the first game he plays in, but then as the games ramp up, I think Jamison Williams, you let him go. And because you look at the wide receiver core, at least this season, and what it's going to look like with the rookies being implemented, there is some concern for me without J-Mo. Like, I'm curious if Josh, Khalif, and these guys can step up. And you saw yesterday, I don't know if you saw it, Khalif Raymond's apparently one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL. I did not know that. Compared to the stats, which you'd love, you'd appreciate.
He was the second leading receiver on the team last
So
year.
he
That's also a fact.
He was, but I'm still concerned. So when J-Mo gets back, it's going to be incredible. But Gabby, you hear these things about J-Mo. Do you agree with that? Most of this is kind of overblown about his maturity.
And I think the biggest thing that I'm taking away, especially from your last comments, is that they're gonna throw him right back in. They're not gonna like warm him up into this, because we're already seeing that at training camp. We're already seeing how they're heavily implementing him into everything that they're doing and having him very involved. And it's not this ramp up that we saw previous years, but that's how it should be. This is his second year, and I think the team knows as well as he does that he has a lot to prove as soon as the suspension is over, not just to his teammates, not just to the fan base, not just to the NFL, but also to himself, because that's the first time that he's going to be fully stepping out on that field with nothing holding him back, and needing to really hit the ground running, for lack of a better term.
And you look back to with J-Mo, he got drafted in a class where everybody, analysts, I thought he was the best wide receiver in the class before he was hurt. Sure. So he gets to sit back. Even though he got drafted after the run of wide receivers went, he had to sit there on the sideline and watch Garrett Wilson, watch Chris Olave, watch these guys have great years, Drake London to a certain extent before he got hurt. All these guys thrive, and he's asked to sit there and watch. And knowing that, hey, I'm the best wide receiver. I think I'm the best wide receiver in this class. You don't think he's going to sit on that for a whole nother season now? Through 6 games, unfortunately, you're suspended. But when he comes back, he's going to let out all that anger. And even with Jared Goff, and people bring up, well, he can't, the connection between him and Jared Goff throwing deep, he'll be fine. Like, just get the ball to J-Mo with his speed. Get the ball to him. Get it to him in space. He'll do the rest. Lucas, am I crazy?
You didn't miss there. And the whole thing is, J-Mo, he's a dog. If you can go, it sounds stupid to say, but if you look on his social media, like, he's letting you know. This man's angry. And like you said, I don't think there's going to be any marinating process. I think when J-Mo comes back, we are going to see J-Mo, and he's going to be torching. The NFC North DBs stand 0 chance. And Jared Goff, he's not going to get in the way of J-Mo. I know a couple of times last year, especially against the Jets, there was one that bothered me, where J-Mo was open for a touchdown. DJ Reed kind of swats away last second. But we got to give Goff and J-Mo more time to develop together, which they are having right now. So this whole thing about, like you said, the Goff situation, if people are still worried about Goff, you need to find something else to be complaining about right now, because the last thing he is doing is fucking this thing up.
And JB, for J-Mo, at least the process for him to get back after 6 games, what do you think it's going to look like? Should it be, all let him loose after 6 games? Or do you think there'll be this easing him in process?
Oh, no. Let him loose. This season is going to be J-Mo Unchained, pretty much. I know, right? J-Mo Unchained. Just going to let him off the field and just go off. And I admire him right now. As you said, he's getting film from Tyreek Hill and all these other athletes, because he's doing so much right now, trying to improve himself, getting himself ready for as soon as he can hit the field to impress the world and impress the Lion fan base. So hats off to this guy, man.
Absolutely, JB, and I love that J-Mo Unchained. That is a bar. We should definitely clip that and maybe make a shirt on that on woodwardsports.com, but we shall see. But the thing that I just thought about, which is interesting listening to what you had to say, JB, Jeff, Lucas, which I think you all make amazing points, is that we talk about Sam Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs coming into this season as somebody that Ben Johnson could scheme plays for them to get the ball in space. Who would you want to scheme plays for to get in space more than Jameson freaking Williams? And Ben Johnson, that's the thing. You don't always have to throw Jameson Williams the ball deep. I think Jared Goff has an underrated deep ball anyway, but you can get him just 8-yard in, and he can take it and go to the house. You saw him do that to the Georgia defense in the SEC championship game that year, in which he had 7 catches for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. He absolutely cooked him. One of the greatest defenses in college football history. And Ben Johnson is that type of coordinator that can just get Jameson the ball in space. He is the type of weapon the likes of which the Detroit Lions certainly have not seen, at least with his style, since and I mean ever at wide receiver. Obviously, you look at Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders, but they were different kind of players. But the one thing is, Jameson Williams still has to, as the great Rick Ross would say, show us. Because he hasn't shown a lot yet, but I think that is going to change almost immediately when he gets back on the field. I have no doubts about that.
Well, let me tell you something. If you don't think J-Mo can be great, you're smoking something. Whew. But hopefully you're smoking something from our friends at Dispo. Now, that's the key.
Yeah.
You could join us and our friends over at Dispo at their Romeo location on Friday, on June 30th. All 4 of our shows will be down there from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Brace yourselves for an unforgettable journey at the pinnacle of cannabis experience, located at 100 Schaefer Drive in Romeo, Michigan. See you there this Friday, June 30th, for an all-day event at Dispo Dispensary, your local cannabis plug.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Cam Sutton been in elite for 7 years, so just getting every knowledge from him. Emmanuel Mosley, he coming back from an injury, but he's still, in there 24/7, laser locked in. And Chauncey just he gonna make the game more fun. I love his enthusiasm. I love the way he, come out there and talk trash. That just turn us up. So, man, the guys that we added this offseason, I think we're gonna be pretty dominant.
What a dog. Jerry Jacobs, welcome back. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on Woodward Sports Network. Jeff Iafrate, Sam Flannel, JB, Gabby, and Lucas, as always. I don't know why I have this man crush on Jerry Jacobs. I just love him. Me and Lucas talk about this all the time, and Lucas is in the same boat as me. He never gets the credit he deserves, and I understand why. Big names, Cam Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley. Even last year, Jeff Okudah, even though Jeff didn't have a great year, it's still about Jeff. It's always about Jeff. Jerry Jacobs does not get the recognition he deserves, and I'm so happy for him. He got to go on Good Morning Football and talk about the Lions secondary, and he said some bars in there, Sam.
Yes, he did.
A lot of confidence in this new look secondary, which Brad Holmes surgically repaired in one offseason.
Oh, yeah.
Which is impressive. Cam Sutton, the new look secondary, Cam Sutton, Brian Branch, now C.J. Gardner-Johnson, arguably the best free agent available. You got him on a 1-year deal. I love what Brad Holmes has done with the secondary, but the question I have for the people is, where will they rank in the NFL? Because you look at some secondaries in the NFL, I would make an argument, Sam, they're top 10 on paper. I do believe that. Even though it's hard to imagine it for a team who, at least for their secondary, one of the worst in the NFL. How in the hell can they go from one of the worst to a top 10 unit? Well, I'll tell you. They got depth, they got experience, they got playmakers, and they got guys that are versatile, extremely versatile. Brian Branch, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Kirby, these guys you can line up essentially anywhere. Now, a lot of that depends on what does Emmanuel Mosley look like coming off his ACL injury? What does Tracy Walker look like coming off his Achilles injury? But I'm telling you right now, if those guys can return to their normal form, Sam, this secondary, with the defensive line getting better, a lot of young guys up there in the linebacker core, there's a lot of question marks, but that secondary is much, much better this season. And will be, in my opinion, a top 10 unit.
It is eons better. I mean, you especially if each player, and not even each player because that's obviously not realistic, but if the most important ones hit their ceiling going into next year. I mean, you look at Cam Sutton. He basically was a full season starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers, had the best year of his life, allowed a passer rating when targeted of under 70. I guess the only concern about him is he one of the top end corners to lead your secondary? I don't know about that, but he is certainly very, very solid and can be locked down. And when you look at Emmanuel Mosley, when he played last year, and that's a big when he played because he didn't play much, he allowed a passer rating when targeted of less than 64, which is elite, but he only played in 5 games. He's coming off of an injury. I don't know if he'd be able to do that over a full season, but hey, you never know. He was elite when he played. We look at C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who, despite playing only 12 games last year, had 6 interceptions for an absurd per-game average of half an interception per game. That's actually amazing. Even if it doesn't sound amazing, it is absolutely amazing. And the fact that he was tied for the NFL lead in interceptions, only playing 12 games, phenomenal. I guess one of his weaknesses would be what he brings in interceptions. He's not quite as good in coverage. Same thing with Kirby Joseph. You mentioned they have guys who can lock you down. You have guys who can be versatile, guys who are playmakers. One of the king playmakers of all, of course, is none other than Kirby Joseph, who forced 6 turnovers last season, including 3 interceptions of Aaron Rodgers. I know we all love that. I think a lot of people around here incorrectly refer to him as Aaron Rodgers' father, but you know what? I'm not mad at you for it.
You done messed up,
I'm not mad at you for it because Kirby Joseph obviously intercepted Aaron Rodgers 3 times in 2 big wins over the Green Bay Packers. I guess one of the reasons I'm bringing that all up, I didn't even mention Tracy Walker, Brian Branch, and Jerry Jacobs, is because you could argue that even if they don't have that high-end superstar, which I think maybe C.J. Gardner-Johnson could be this year, even if they don't have that, they have arguably, at least coming into next year, and I believe definitely 5 to 7 starting level players in your secondary. I can't think of a single secondary in the NFL period that is as deep as the Detroit Lions secondary is right now. I mean, am I crazy for thinking that? They have so much depth, and they even have, I mean, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he could end up being one of those high-end talent guys. We shall see.
No, and again, for Jerry Jacobs, too, the crazy part is he's making just under $1 million.
Wow.
Like, that's the big part of this whole thing is, yeah, Jerry Jacobs is a dog. He was an undrafted free agent, which Brad Holmes brought in last season, or 2 seasons ago, excuse me. And you look at it and you're like, it was A.J. Parker as well. It was Jerry Jacobs, A.J. Parker. And here's the thing about Brad Holmes that people don't talk about enough. It's not just drafting, it's not just free agency, but undrafted free agents, the guy just he has a knack for finding talent. And Jerry Jacobs, for what he is in the NFL, which he's not known. He's not one of those premier lockdown corners, but he's a dog, and that's a common theme here with Detroit Lions, bringing in players that fit this mentality. Jerry Jacobs is the perfect guy to kind of look at where the rest of the roster is mentally. Like he fits what they want to do on defense.
Sure.
And I think with CJ and Kirby, you have 2 guys that are legit threats to lead the NFL in interceptions. CJ
Absolutely.
did it last year. He only did it in 12 games. I believe it was 12 games. Kirby Joseph, I think, can do it in the future. Like, you got more playmaking, guys you can depend on. And even looking at the best secondaries in the NFL, I would say the Jets undoubtedly have an elite secondary. Sure. Miami, now with Jalen Ramsey,
Xavier
no
Howard,
doubt.
yeah.
Philadelphia, elite secondary. The Broncos have guys in their secondary as well.
Oh, yeah.
Baltimore still has guys, I mean, to a certain extent. Now we're getting to more, I think, where it's arguable, right? You have Baltimore, Dallas, Kansas City, Cleveland. Like, now we're at 8. San Francisco at 9, which San Francisco has pretty good secondary. Buffalo, Commanders at 11. Like, I think the Lions are a top 10 unit on paper. They just are. They're deeper than any of these other teams. Now, what do they do in the season? What happens? That's different. But on paper, you can't argue. And Lucas, I'll go to you. Jerry Jacobs, he's onto something.
Jerry Jacobs is most definitely onto something, and this secondary is going to be easily top 10 this year. I mean, you just said the 49ers. I think the 49ers defense is without a doubt
but just
better.
the secondary.
The secondary, I'm giving the Lions because the thing is, they got the kind of, not middle tier stars, but the Cam Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley. Those are guys who are very good at their job, but they don't have that Jalen Ramsey status where they're kind of going to be a distraction. And then the quote-unquote distraction level type of player is C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And watching C.J. Gardner-Johnson this year, it's going to be a whole lot of this.
Oh!
Grab these up.
No.
Lucas.
Slug them down. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is going to put on a show. This whole secondary is going to put on a show. There is no doubt top 10 secondary for the Detroit Lions.
You know, Lucas, I actually agree with you. I think, it might be worth cracking a beer over that. I think the Detroit Lions might do it.
That beer this early in the morning.
Yeah,
Are
we just gonna slide
do something? It's smoky outside. I'm not gonna go smoke some dispo outside right now just because of plain fact I might be inhaling too much. So I gotta do something to spice the morning up.
Did you have that? Where'd you get that?
Me and Easy last night. Easy came home with them. We made some content. He's like, I brought 2 of them in. I was like,
Man,
you know what?
see,
Crack one
Lucas,
open on the show.
yeah.
What?
Yeah, I'm telling you, these people from Toledo, they're built different.
It's 8:53 in the morning.
He saw the Jerry
And we
Jacobs.
are juiced.
Yeah, he's
CJ
juiced up.
Gardner-Johnson and Jerry Jacobs.
Hey,
They
to
got
be
me
fair, it's
juiced.
5 o'clock somewhere. Just saying.
And you know what, Lucas? As I was gonna say before, the fact that you were having a beer kind of distracted all of us. I'll tell you what. Your take on the Lions secondary being better than the San Francisco 49ers, I don't necessarily hate it. It's definitely more deep. I know San Francisco has Hufanga and Jimmy Ward. They also lost Emmanuel Mosley.
Good Jimmy Ward call, by the way. I'm
Yes.
happy you just put some respect on his name.
Oh,
His Him and Hufanga are probably the best safety duo, but then when we talk about, you start looking at the cornerbacks, we just took their best cornerback away from him. Chadarius Ward's good, but Emmanuel Mosley is much better. And the safety depth we have, it's probably the best in the league as far as depth go. I could see maybe Buffalo with Poyer and Hyde, but give me Detroit all day.
And by the way, people are going Stone Cold Lucas. I see John Lord says, Jack says Lucas 316. I mean, I'm not going to ask you to do it because you're probably going to destroy all the equipment in there, but one of these days, you got to crack one open and just chug it.
If the Lions beat the Chiefs, I'm getting heavily intoxicated that whole day the next day. There's no chance I sniff a second of sobriety if the Lions beat the Chiefs that next 24 hours. Not a chance.
Paul Thomas says Lucas's drunk takes over. He put the greater than sign over Flannel sober takes.
I would strongly disagree with that. But me and Lucas have our battles. It's mutual respect. I will say that 100%.
Me and Flannel agree a lot more than people realize, but it's just when we disagree, man, it's like polar opposite ends. Because I'm a guy where I can handle stats, but I want to see where the stats are coming from. And if we're just going stat for stat, my head wants to explode.
Yeah,
it's just
I
like how Flannel runs on stats. My brain has to run on, okay, what do those stats actually mean?
Yeah, you got to break down each one individually. It's like the what movie was that where the numbers are all in front of them? It's all the
Hangover.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's Lucas when Flannel's giving his take. He has to process it before he responds. I love this comment. Brian says, my guy Brian, he says, Lucas is suspect on the audio, but love him on the mic.
Hey,
your response?
I want to make something clear.
Because with Gabby, when she was out last week, we had some audio concerns there.
We did, but you know what? JB's back in the audio booth.
JB, that was the big thing.
Who else would you rather have in the audio booth than JB fucking Smooth, baby?
Nobody.
Yeah, and again, it wasn't Broder's fault. Broder holds it. He holds it down.
Oh yeah, respect your Broder.
JB,
that's the GOAT, man.
That's the glue. Because if JB's out and something goes wrong, JB, we're giving JB a buzz. Let's see. Alex Lee says Jeff has never seen The Hangover though. Well, we don't got to get into that right now.
How did you make that reference when you've never
You can't just gloss over that.
I just know the meme, but no, I've not seen The Hangover. Crucify me. I'm sorry, I've not seen
JB, let him have it for a second. Let him know.
You have not seen The Hangover. How? It's like the ultimate party movie ever.
All three of them.
Well, not all three of them.
Oh, I beg to differ.
One is better than 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I mean, no doubt one's the best one, but 2 and 3 are both great watches.
Oh yeah, of course they're good watches, but nothing beats one. It's
That's
like
facts.
the ultimate, bro movie. Like, I'm surprised you haven't seen this movie yet. It's hilarious.
Yeah, people are chiming in now. I'm getting roasted, which I expected. I mean, I have not seen Hangover. Hey, feel free to roast me. I would roast somebody if they didn't see a movie that everybody else saw, so I understand it. Dan Ward says, Jeff doesn't go to Walmart, JB. I do go to Walmart, but I'm not going to bring up allegedly. I'm not going to bring up allegedly what JB did at Walmart. That's all alleged.
Yeah.
There's no confirmation.
All alleged, all in the past, old stuff.
Yeah,
we'll fill you in later, Flannel. It's okay.
It was
I'm
alleged.
missing something here, but you know what? After the show, off air, I'm sure.
Oh, I love it. Everyone's freaking out now about The Hangover. Guys, I'm sorry. I didn't see The Hangover. Now I'm going to watch it this weekend. I'll come back. I'll report to you Monday, and I'll tell you what I think about it.
That's the thing. It's like a Jeff Iafrate kind of movie. I think we would all agree with that.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
I mean, you're just a young up-and-comer in life. It's the ultimate party, fun movie, but it also has a lot of substance. It's not just one of those stupid movies. It is a great comedic masterpiece.
Okay.
100%.
That's fair.
Boy. That's the best.
See, I hate it because I don't understand these
Leslie
damn references.
Chow.
We're going to go to break. When we get back, let's get into some more Red Wings discussions. Michael Gentry will be joining us, not next segment, but the segment following that, to break down the NHL draft for us and what the Red Wings should do. But before we do that, Sam, can you tell us about our friends over at Lady Jane's?
Absolutely, I can. And you know how I feel about Lady Jane's. They are the best place to get a haircut around. I can see it right there. And I just heard Lucas take another swig of his beer. And if you want to take a swig of your beer and go into Lady Jane's later, I know you don't need a haircut like I do, but you can. But you know how Lady Jane's always is. They always have me looking this good every single day, and I have to look this good sitting next to studs like Jeff Iafrate and Jeremy Bryan and Lucas Klotz and Alex Westfall, and today, Gabrielle D. Phillips. And you can walk into any Lady Jane's for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically enter for your chance to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice, courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. That's right, 2 cars, one for you and one for your wife, girlfriend, or best bud. Wow. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Wicked awesome.
Wicked.
The Sports Marketing Agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Hagera Health. and Carol Zaniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Welcome back. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Thank you guys for sticking with us. Again, subscribe if you haven't already to our YouTube channel. Like the stream if you're viewing live. But if you can't watch live, it's all good. You can go back and re-listen on any podcast app you listen to, whether it's Spotify, Apple Music. Leave us a 5-star review, The Morning Woodward Show. Go check that out. And if you're watching on woodwardsports.com, check out all the latest news, articles, updates, show clips, and merchandise, like the new Laporta Potty shirt JB's rocking over there in the audio booth, which is fire. You don't see shirts like that. You just don't. JB, I'm sorry.
Let
you
him
gotta
know.
Show it again.
Let him know, Smooth.
Yeah, Laporta Potty. There you go. But enough of the Laporta Potty. Let's get to the Red Wings. It's NHL Draft Day. It's an exciting time. The question I'm going to pose to everybody in the chat, you feel free to chime in. The prediction, and I'm going to ask Mike this question as well. Will the Red Wings take or use both their first-round picks and select players? Will they keep both of their first-round picks? That's the question I have for everybody. Because, again, if you're looking at ideal trade scenarios for the Red Wings, and Steve kind of hinted at this, he at least suspects he's going to select with the 9th pick, which I assume he will. 17, though, he also assumes he will. But I think 17 is more likely to be dealt than I think people understand. But, Sam, I'll start with you. If you had to make a bet, if you're a betting man, and I don't know if you are, I don't think you are you betting on the Red Wings to make a selection with both of those first-round picks, or you think one of them will be dealt, potentially?
I think that one of them will be dealt. I hope that one of them is dealt, to be honest, because I think this is the time for the Detroit Red Wings to package some of their picks, package together a prospect or maybe even a promising young player to go get a dude like Alex DeBrincat, for example, who we were talking about earlier, or I don't know, a guy like Kyle Connors or somebody like that. Mike Gentry has talked about him a lot. He's a guy that him and me both like for this team. The thing is it just depends on what Stevie's philosophy is this year, whether or not he wants to make the picks, whether or not there is a move to be made. We all know that Steve Yzerman's draft history thus far has been very, very good. I mean, Mo Seider is an up-and-coming superstar defenseman. Lucas Raymond has showed some promise. Simon Edvinsson looks to be that pairing with Mo Seider moving forward on on defense. Marco Kasper, he even had a cup of coffee in the NHL last year. So did Simon Edvinsson, and I cannot forget about Sebastian Cossa, who might be the goalie of the future. So if you give Steve Yzerman some draft picks, he will hit on some of them, and this year he has 5 in the first 43. But the problem is with NHL draft picks, when you pick number 9, there's a huge drop-off between, obviously, a guy like Connor Bedard and the number 9 overall pick. And with NHL draft picks, they don't materialize right away. They go play in the minor league system, in the OHL or whatever division that they're in, whichever is the affiliate for the NHL. And that means the rebuild might last a little bit longer if they don't make a move. If they just make those picks, they might be good picks, but they might not materialize in this year or even next year. I expect the Detroit Red Wings to make the playoffs. They obviously were flirting with a playoff position midway through the year, and then they had a little bit of a skid, and that was over. And we'll just see what Steve Yzerman wants. Is there a move available? I don't know. But if there isn't, those draft picks might not turn into anything yet, and I don't know if they have that dude yet that puts them into playoff position next year without making a move.
Right.
It just depends.
Yeah, and I agree with that statement, and that's why I'm more on the side of being more aggressive in trying to trade for a premier caliber player. Now, the other question, and Dominator said this perfectly, about will he use both of his first-round picks? Will he use that Islanders pick or trade one of them away potentially? And the thing about Steve Yzerman and Troy Weaver is usually those, and same with Brad Holmes, I think, to a certain extent, you don't know what they're going to do. They keep everything in-house, but they do throw you little nuggets. Like, Troy's done this, especially, he did this before the NBA draft when he said, I'm swinging. I don't just settle for bunts. I'm going for the long ball, and then here you have Osar Thompson, less than a week later. They typically give you some hints here. And Dominator WoodwardSports.com. I think he nailed this. He said he will use the picks, which is about as vague as it gets. Haha. Trading it away is using it. No.
I suppose so.
I think that's fair. That's fair. That's why with Steve Yzerman, I think there comes a point where I agree with you. Will he use both of those first-round picks? He could, very well. But I think if you want to be, at least be taken more seriously, you got to go out and at least try to make a splash. And to me, Alex DeBrincat's the obvious one because you know he's available. I know there's other players, and free agency has yet to start, and the Red Wings still have, $30-40 million in available cap space. But to me, to go get that dude, you're not getting Austin Matthews. It's just not happening. But Alex DeBrincat, he ain't Austin Matthews.
No.
But 240-goal season, Sam, to me, you have already solid prospects you believe in. Edvinsson, Kosa, these guys that are coming up. Marco Kasper, you mentioned. If you can get a deal done for Alex DeBrincat, you don't have to give up one of those guys. You do it in a heartbeat. Especially if you can keep Seider, because you're not trading him away. No way in hell.
You certainly do that in a heartbeat, but that's one of the reasons why I don't think a deal like that would happen. I think you'd have to give up an Edvinsson or a Kasper or a combination of any of them with also including picks. Believe it or not, and it seems like it's gone by so fast, but Steve Yzerman has been the GM of the Detroit Red Wings for 4 seasons now. He is going into year 5. And obviously what he walked into was a dumpster fire unlike any we've seen with the Detroit Red Wings in a very, very long time since they were the Dead Wings. And back then it was an uncapped league, and he had to fix the books, fix the bad contracts like Franz Nielsen and Justin Abelkader, Johan Franzen, all of that. He had to deal with all of that.
Right.
But after 4 seasons, you finally saw a little bit of progress last year. You saw a team that looked like an actual NHL team on the ice, adding veterans like Andrew Kopp and Dominic Kubalik and David Perron and Ville Husso. They weren't just this terrible team which they had been the last few years. And I think the fact that the Detroit Red Wings have not yet made the playoffs, I'm not saying that Steve Yzerman, there's some pressure on him, but I'm saying that in the pantheon of Detroit GMs, I would put him below Brad Holmes at this point. I know it's a lot easier for those draft picks to hit right away in the NFL, which he has done with so many picks, but at the same time, Brad Holmes is on the verge of taking the Lions to a division win. Steve Yzerman, we're talking about, are they even going to make the playoffs this next year? I'm not saying that I'm getting impatient. I'm just saying that it could be very possible if they don't make a big move, and that is fair.
And crazy thing just happened. Gabby went through a sex change. Now we got Michael Gentry sitting in the chair.
She's still here.
Look at the cat dragged in here. Michael Gentry, my guy, the other half of the Jeff and Gentry show. Welcome, my guy. It's a big day for you. It's a big day for you. I know you're excited.
It's a big day for all of us.
You got it. That is true. And you got your quarter zip, your Red Wings quarter zip. And I wanted to ask you this just to start, because next segment we'll get more into the draft and what you think the Red Wings will do. What do you think about Alex DeBrincat, and how realistic is that? You look at a divisional opponent. I think that's part of it. Will they trade in the division? But what do you think? What's it gonna take to get it done? That's the question.
Well, obviously the price has kind of driven down over the past couple of days. They were originally asking, they wanted first-round picks. Now it's rumored 2 seconds will get it done. I think going into tonight, it has to get done tonight no matter what, if it is going to get done. My prediction is it's going to be a second-round pick this year and then next year's first, and that's what I originally said. But maybe that price will even go down. Like I said, there's been rumors that it's going to be 2 second-round picks and maybe Philip Zadina and other assets. So,
do you think Zadina's is that good enough to get it done? You think?
I think the Senators are kind of cornered, and I think Zadina still has a lot left in him, and I think people are kind of downplaying what he can do, and I think he's shown some things. Obviously, he's went through a lot with the Red Wings, so I think the Senators are right to be interested still about him, yeah.
Sam, you got anything?
Okay, so Mike Gentry, what are the odds that you think a deal actually gets done tonight? Do you think it's likely?
I would say 70-30 maybe.
Really?
70% it does get done?
I think the Red Wings get DeBrincat. I think there's no other. There's only been one other team in this last week that's really been rumored. I want to say that was Dallas, but it's just been heavy rumors on Detroit, and I think it's just a matter of when, not how. I think it's just going to happen sometime throughout the day leading up to the draft. I was scared last night that I was going to fall asleep or something, and then it was going to happen right after I went to sleep, because knowing me, that's how stuff works. But
Yeah, typically that's. But again, that's interesting. You say that, and the fact that you say 70-30, which I agree with you. You haven't really seen, at least through the reporting for DeBrincat, it's really been the Red Wings and mainly the Red Wings.
Yeah,
and it makes,
especially within the last 2 days or so.
Absolutely, and it makes sense. They have the assets, they have the young players. Although it is a divisional opponent, it seems like it's the best fit for Detroit and Alex, like both the player and the place. I think it'd be a match made in heaven. So the fact that you said that, love it, 70-30. The other question I have for you is, if you had to make a bet, because you're a bet man, Michael Gentry, he wins money here. I take notes from him. And this is why I'm going to ask you this. Will the Red Wings use both of their first-round picks? Because you just said a deal gets done 70-30.
Yeah, but I think they use next year's first, no matter what.
Got you.
But I think they do use both their first-round picks this year, and he's been kind of heavy on that. Maybe he's bluffing and he's trying to sell off one of those first-round picks. And they also do have 3 second-round picks, all back-to-back-to-back. So you never know. He could combine those and maybe try and move up later in the first round too. So, but I do think he makes the picks 9 and 17 for sure.
Fair enough. And Gentry, I got to ask you this because you are much more of a hockey expert than I am at this point. So I mentioned earlier on the show that there's a little bit of pressure to me on Steve Yzerman to potentially make a big move because he has been here for 4 years and he's done a great job. He came into a terrible situation. They actually looked like an NHL team this past year, but if they don't, I'm not even sure they make the playoffs, and it would be 5 years in. Is there pressure, or am I just being an impatient simpleton?
I think there's some sort of pressure. I think going into this year, you would hope that they make the playoffs, but if they don't and they're still on that bubble, I think it's given the circumstances of the season, what pans out, players get injured or whatnot. But I think this year, especially if they add guys like DeBrincat, and then you hope they add another guy to the draft that can maybe contribute right now, but a lot of these guys are younger. So, and then you do have a lot of guys coming up in the pipeline. So I would say this year it still would be disappointing, but next year, if they are still out of the playoffs, then I think the heat's on.
I mean, there's a lot of people here that, I don't know, and maybe I'm a little bit wrong on this, that just love these forever rebuilds. And sometimes it gets a little bit old. I'm just saying. I mean, maybe I'm a little bit crazy, but I've also spent a lot of time on the 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. show. I'll just say that.
And a lot of the rebuild stuff comes from results, which I agree with. But a lot of that, too, is what's the young talent look like? How are you developing young talent? And what's your stash look like? And you can at least say the Red Wings have a ton of young talent.
Yes.
And would you say, because Steve Yzerman said this, that as the roster's currently constructed, the young core, they're not contenders, obviously. Are they an Alex DeBrincat away from being in that conversation, or do you think there's more work to be done besides just getting Alex DeBrincat?
I could see a couple little minor veteran signings, maybe pick up a right-handed defenseman, but I also think they look at that in the draft with one of those second-round picks. In my eyes, they go 2 forwards in the first round this year, no matter what. They're so deep in the first round, or this draft is so deep with forwards, and there's so much potential there. But I do think if you get DeBrincat, you are flirting with the playoffs, or maybe even in the playoffs right away. Yeah, and yeah, they were chasing it this year. They had a stretch. Obviously, they sold off, but I do think they make some other acquisitions in the offseason, maybe with DeBrincat, and that could push them to the playoffs, yeah.
I'm going to get to some of these comments. We're going to go to break. When we get back, I want to preview where the Red Wings pick and get Michael Gentry's thoughts on it. Chuck Brewer says, forever rebuilds are built for the long haul. Fast rebuilds to make the playoffs and flame out round one are short-sighted and stupid. Phillips, he says, anything Stevie kind of burned out in hockey and needs a couple years away from the game?
He's the right GM for this team, obviously, and I still stand by this. When it's all said and done, Stevie Y will lead this team back to hoisting the cup again as a GM, and he will be known as the greatest Detroit sports figure of all time, undisputed. For anybody who says I'm now a Steve Yzerman hater, I also believe that. I am far from it. Far from it.
Dominator says the Red Wings are the only team in Detroit people have expectations for. Well, no. I mean, you have the Lions have pretty big expectations too, but
especially this year.
This year. We'll go to break. When we get back, I want to break down some more prospects with Mike and get his thoughts on it. But before we do, I got to tell you about our friends over at SMA, because the sports marketing agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, head to thesportsma.com for more information.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
Since the dawn of moving people, Chevrolet has led the way. The world of transportation is changing. At Feldman Chevrolet, we are leading the charge forward. With every electric vehicle, every mile traveled, one Feldman at a time. The company that puts more Chevys on Michigan roads is now the #1 name for Chevy electric vehicles.
Welcome back. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Jeff Iafrate, Sam Flannel, JB, Lucas Klotz, Gabby, and we got joining us as well our Red Wings beat reporter for Woodward Sports, Michael Gentry, to break down the NHL draft. And now that we kind of covered Alex DeBrincat expectations a little bit, Steve Yzerman, I want to ask you, because the Red Wings pick at 9 and 17. And here on Tankathon, the mock that Tankathon has, they have the Detroit Red Wings taking David Reinbacher, the defenseman, out of, I believe, this Austria. Yeah, he's Austrian. And then at 17, they got Edward Sale. And I believe he's out of Czech Republic. So you got a defenseman at 9 and a winger at 17. Okay. Any thoughts on those two guys? Number one, before I get to Mishkov, because I do got to ask you about him. David Reinbacher, a defenseman at 9?
I actually think he'll probably be gone maybe before 9. I think he's one of the best defensemen in the draft, and there's only I would say 4, maybe 5 defensemen that I really am high on going into the draft. So I don't expect with the Red Wings picking Edvinsson and Seider, you kind of have solidified guys, and you have Wallinder coming up. They have a lot of solidified defensemen. I think where they're at, they need centers, they need right-handed shots on offense, and they need goal scorers. So with the way this first round is going to pan out, I think there's going to be a lot of good forwards, and I think the Red Wings are going to go 2 forwards. I'm still sticking with my original pick for the 9th overall. I said Oliver Moore, I think 2 months ago on Big D Energy with Darren and Neil. I'm really high on him. He played U.S. national team this past year, 75 points, 31 goals, 44 assists. He's 6 foot. He can play center. He can play wing. He's really fast, really good overall skater, two-way guy. I really like him with the 9th overall, but I have seen him slide on draft boards. I have even seen him around the 16, 17, 18 range. So if the Red Wings are able to even get him with 17, that would be insane in my eyes. And another one is Samuel Hanzik. He's another lefty, big guy, 6'4". He can play a little bit of center, but more used on the wing. Great using his body to protect the puck. He kind of more Michael Rasmussen, but more skinny, more fast. And then another guy I was really high on was Nate Danielson for the 9th overall pick. He's a center, right-handed guy. He's one of the guys that I think is more NHL ready. And with the Red Wings, big problem at center. It wouldn't be hurting to add another good center to add with Kopp and Casper and Larkin, just to add some more depth at that position.
Absolutely, and I love the way you break that down, Gentry. There's a lot of good prospects that could help this team, maybe not this year, but in the upcoming years, if Stevie makes that pick. Let's go to drafts of yesteryear, because obviously one of the other ways in which the Detroit Red Wings improve this season is if guys like Simon Edvinsson, maybe Marco Kasper, can be contributing NHL players. Let's start with Simon Edvinsson. Does he play the full season with the Detroit Red Wings this next upcoming year?
Oh, 100%.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Barring any injuries, obviously. But yeah, 100%.
And he becomes that pairing with Mo Seider. Do you think or not?
I think last year you kind of seen Seider and Jake Wallman thrive together, so I wouldn't split them up, but maybe they do try it out. Excuse me.
Now, Jake Wallman, that's another one that I think we forget about. He was a bit of a revelation.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
The man who gritty.
That's how you know him, Jeff. The man who gritty.
The man who gritty. Not his stellar play, the man who gritty. He did that one cool dance, and now he's a Detroit legend. Not the fact that he was a damn good player. But
well, as you would say, Sam, he's a folk hero now in Detroit. He can do no wrong.
Well, he can actually play, unlike Tom Kennedy or some of those other folk heroes. Jake Wallman can actually play.
When Tom is called
We're
upon.
not letting Tom
What is this conversation? Tom
today.
Kennedy?
He always makes a big deal out of folk heroes.
Legend
like guys
killer.
That fans love that, but they're really not that great.
You don't like
players.
Tom Kennedy, man?
No, I don't like Tom Kennedy.
The guy just throws strays at Tom Kennedy for no reason.
All right, back to the topic.
Oh, okay, but let's another former Steve Yzerman draft pick I want to talk about is, how about Lucas Raymond? To me, he regressed a little bit last year, especially with his numbers. Do you think he bounced back, or do you think he bounces back, or do you think the tales of his regression were a little bit overblown in the first place?
I think they were a little overblown,
Okay.
but he did regress, like you said. But the Lions were a little mixed up last year, and the Red Wings did face a lot of injuries, and he didn't get to play with Dylan Larkin the whole season. Obviously, Perron took that spot for most of the year. So I think going into this year, I think Lucas is going to have a better year, and that's one guy that I'm really not concerned about for the Red Wings. I think he will be fine and bounce back.
And what always makes me feel better about Lucas Raymond, even if he did regress, is how is Alexis Lafreniere looking? I mean, the New York Rangers are a winning team, but I don't even think he's had a 40-point season, which is...
who knows his future with the Rangers?
Who knows his future? They obviously... Go ahead, Jeff.
And for Mike, too, can you break down the Michkov thing? I mean, with him being in Russia, the big conversation I hear is, and we talked about it a little before the break, he's in the U.S., but the concern is he's still under contract in Russia at the same time. So if he's selected, is there any chance he falls or a team's going? He's too talented not to select?
Yeah, I think if he does fall, whoever takes him is going to get a steal. There is some concerns with how he'll be able to come back to the U.S. given he is under contract in the KHL still, I believe, and he's still only 19 years old. But when that is all said and done, how that's going to get settled. But he's a steal. I think. And any other years, he would be a top 3 pick, top 2 pick, whatever.
Why not trade up for him? You think that's a potential that's on the table?
I don't know. I think maybe just the concern of what will happen if when that contract is done in the KHL and the depth of the forwards in this draft. I think maybe there's people don't want to take the risk when there's a lot of good players throughout this draft. But.
And to get some of these comments too, people are chiming in. Dan Wood says 3-year contract in the KHL. Is that's true?
Yeah,
3 years. I mean that's. Brandon Katz says contract can always be bought out. Yes, but that has to be agreed for both sides. You're right, Brandon. You're also correct.
Whoever gets him is going to get a really good player, though. He's definitely top 3 player in this draft, in my opinion.
He doesn't fall to 9, does he?
I don't.
I would hope not.
I don't think so.
If that happens, the Red Wings have had some pretty good Russians, as we know. So.
Yes.
We'll take him.
And it's happened, I guess, in previous, Stevie's had guys fall to him, but at 9, I think that's too steep, in my opinion, to fall to 9.
No, that's why I'm saying more of in the, so you're saying there's a chance kind of tone.
It may be a 1% chance, but you'll take it. You'll take it. It's 8%.
They do have 3 second-round picks, man, so
that's the thing, too. If you want to, and I'm pretty consistent about this for all drafts, if it's your guy, you at least try to trade up and get him. Even if you trade up from 9 to, if he falls and you can get him, you trade up to maybe 5 or 6, and you could grab him. But again, the likelihood, because it's not just you making the trade. If you're going to trade, a team has to be willing to not select Michkov if he's there. So I don't think it's likely, but I had to bring it up. Just to close it out, your thoughts, I guess, on tonight and expectations. What's your nervousness level? Because now this is your second draft covering, at least for the Red Wings. Yeah. What's the approach this draft compared to last year, you think, for Stevie, his approach? Because last year, you're still building the foundation. Now this season, you got more clarity, at least with what you have, but you still got to find the best player available. How much pressure is on Stevie to get this one correct, or is it the same from last year to this year?
I want to say there's always pressure to get the pick right. You know that with the Pistons. I know that with the Red Wings. But I think this year there's a lot of things set in stone with the Red Wings to where he can attack certain positions more of. And I think, like I said, the forward position, the center position, you need goal scorers, you need centermen. And I think he really knows this year what to key in on. As to last year, he was kind of signing guys still and still putting in the pieces and still putting things together. I think he's kind of weeded out his weaknesses, and he knows what to attack with this draft, rather. And he's got a lot of picks to do so, and he's going to have a lot of picks next year, too. So.
Well, I appreciate you, Mike, for joining us. And by the way, can you shout out your socials?
Michael Gentry Jr. on Twitter.
So. And also Jeff and Gentry.
Jeff and Gentry. Check us out.
Check us out. We'll have all the hockey coverage here on Woodward Sports Network and on the Jeff and Gentry Show, so stay tuned for that. Mike's going to be busy tonight. He's locked up. Yes. The man's a hot commodity today.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for the NHL draft. Again, appreciate you, Mike. We're going to go to break. When we get back, I do want to have the conversation about what Lindsey Hunter said, and we didn't get to it yesterday, but I want to get to it today and get the people's opinion on it. But again, that is Michael Gentry, the Red Wings beat reporter for Woodward Sports. But before we go to break, Sam, or actually I'm going to tell you about our friends over at Guardian Alarm, because guys, they got customized solutions from real experts. They got 24/7 professional monitoring, and they have technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's not only been proven to work, but by people that have been proven to care. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT for more information.
Stay out!
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
We're back. It's the morning Woodward show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Jeff Iafrate, Sam Flannel, JV Gabby, and Lucas Klotz, as always. And again, guys, if you're watching live, hit the like button. Don't forget, show support. We're almost at 100 likes on the stream. Let's try to get to 100. If you're watching on the website, check out our wonderful articles, merchandise, and so much more. And if you can't watch the show live, you can always go back and re-listen to it. Spotify, Apple Music. Leave a 5-star review, Sam.
5-star.
For that flannel, especially. But Sam, I'll start with you for this question. And you're on Big D. You heard Lindsey say this.
Oh, yeah.
And I love Lindsey, man. He's one of the smartest guys.
Agreed.
Basketball mind's one of the smartest guys I've ever spoken to, and I love talking ball with him. But he did mention this. I believe it was 2 days ago on Big D, and I thought it was really interesting. And Jay Nivey had some comments about expectations, which will pop up in a second. But Lindsey said the Pistons will contend for a play-in even without big additions in free agency.
Yeah.
And he said a lot of that stock has to do with Monty Williams, and he believes Monty and what he is as a coach. Obviously, in the player development, you're getting Cade back, which is essentially a free agent. He just drops on your roster. Jay Nivey, assuming he gets better. Jalen Duren, assuming he gets better. Again, all of these guys around your young core of players. Lindsey said they'll contend for the play-in without any big free agency additions. Is he crazy?
It's hard for me to call Lindsey Hunter crazy because, of course, he is a former Piston, and anybody would take Lindsey Hunter's basketball acumen over mine. You guys would run to that table to get his opinion over mine. And I respect Lindsey Hunter's basketball mind for sure. And believe it or not, even though we have had plenty of battles on air, we have a great mutual respect for each other. I consider him a friend, and I consider him one of the smartest basketball people I know. That being said, I don't think that they're going to make the play-in without an addition.
Wait, is this true? Chuck Brewer says, Jeff, he was saying playoffs, not just play-in.
Yes.
He said playoffs.
Well, but if you're not a 6 seed or higher, you have to play in the play-in.
Maybe he just worded it incorrectly.
Of course. I mean, he played his whole career under a different system.
Because you'd be
obviously.
a 6 seed, and
no chance in hell they're going to be a 6 seed. But that's okay. But that is okay. But that is assuming that they don't make any free agent additions. But there are a couple of things that can happen without even a free agency acquisition that I think could bring the Pistons a hell of a lot closer. Obviously, we all agree the 17 wins, that was a little bit misleading because they played most of the season without Cade Cunningham. I think Cade Cunningham this year can have a season in which he approaches his rookie numbers, which he put up in just March. He averaged 23, 6, and 7 on 48% shooting. He was legitimately, for that month, one of the better point guards in the NBA. And if he makes that jump to being a legit all-star and maybe pumps that three-point percentage up to at least 35%, he did shoot 40 in college, by the way, I think that will play a huge role in the Pistons at least getting better. He also mentioned Monty Williams. He is very, very high on Monty Williams as a coach. And I am as well. I don't think Monty Williams can make as big of a difference as Lindsey Hunter thinks he can, but at the same time, I think that his system will get the best out of a guy like Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, and certainly Cade Cunningham, a system that emphasizes more ball movement, less ISO, more pick and roll. I think that can only help the young guys. But obviously one of the biggest factors of them all, which I think Monty Williams can help with, which I think that the guys that the Pistons drafted can help with, and I think Cade Cunningham can help with, is obviously their defense as a whole and their defensive identity. Last season, we all know how bad the Detroit Pistons defense was. It was terrible. They couldn't stop a nosebleed for large stretches of time.
That's terrible.
I believe they were bottom 5 in points allowed per game. I was surprised they weren't 1. They actually, I think, were 4th worst, which is actually better than I thought they were going to be, which is saying a whole lot.
Yeah.
But I think Asar Thompson, he's a guy that can help out with the defense right away, or at least perimeter defense. Marcus Sasser, obviously, he's another guy as sort of that 6'2 guard, can really be an irritant on defense. That wouldn't shock me at all. I think that translates to the NBA. Cade Cunningham, with his length and his defensive versatility, I think that can help with their defense right away and be vastly improved over last season, a season in which was a lost season for Cade Cunningham. I think Jalen Duren can take more steps as a rim protector and obviously improve his perimeter defense. And even a guy like Isaiah Stewart, I'm not a huge fan of him, but he is not a liability on defense. And even if they keep a guy like Killian Hayes, who I also don't like, who is an extreme liability on offense but can play defense, I don't think all of that equates to play-in unless you make a move. I think Lindsey Hunter is being a little optimistic, but who am I to question Lindsey Hunter? I'm just Flannel Sam.
No, Flannel, and by the way, I didn't mean to be disrespectful there and laugh, but
You're
I
good,
just
bro.
can't help but see this poll in the chat. Lucas, who the hell do you think you are?
What are you talking about?
What is this?
I
what
think
is
that
this
was
poll?
a JB poll.
He said, would Lucas be Jeff in a one-on-one? Lucas all day, Jeff wins with luck.
I'm scraping.
damn.
I'm scraping. You don't stand a chance. I have video evidence too. Don't.
Video evidence of what? Making a shot?
You know what I'm talking about.
Gee, dude,
Yeah.
You could tell
Quiet.
You could tell the people whatever you want to tell them. I know the final score of that game.
What was it? Because I think Gentry has a different answer.
No, it's 7-4. But JB, JB, enough of the poll. All right, this is ridiculous. JB, is Lindsey Hunter
You were
crazy?
the one that called out the poll.
Yeah, I just wanted to call
set the
Lucas.
record straight here.
I wanted to call it out and call Lucas dumb.
Can't use the poll when you want to and not use it when you want to. The
No,
poll is
well,
neutral.
I'm selfish, so I bring it up when I want to talk about it. When Lucas wants to talk about it, we move on.
At least he admits it. At least he finally comes out. Selfish.
Yeah,
Hollywood.
you know what? Okay. JB, save me here, man. Save me. Lindsey Hunter, is he crazy for saying the Pistons can contend for the play-in or make the play-in even without significant free agency additions?
No, I don't think so. Play in, I think we're being optimistic about that. I'm at least hoping that the Pistons can compete this year. I know we're not bringing in these superstar players and everything like that, but Cam Johnson is a real possibility to come to the Pistons. It'll improve the team, but I'm not saying this will jump from our, 10 or 19 wins this past season?
17.
17. I'm not saying we're going to jump all the way to like 40 wins, but still, it'll be a good 30, 32, 35, somewhere around that range. And I mean, you can still have that opportunity for the play-in, but playoffs, like that's a whole nother thing.
And I think you guys are spot on. If they don't make any significant free agency additions, I mean, you can't expect the Pistons to win more than 30 games. I mean,
unfortunately,
it's just how it works. Now, I think Monty will have a significant impact. I'm with Lindsey there. I believe in Monty Williams, but you need help. You need guys. You need adults in the room. I get they have Alec Burks. They just picked up his team option yesterday. You got Bojan. You got some vets that you like, but still, you need a Cam Johnson, a Harrison Barnes, a Jeremy Grant. You need more guys that you can depend on, but adults in the room, guys that know what it takes to win. Although I love Ivy, love Cade, love Duren, love what the young core looks like, you still need help to contend for the play-in in the East. You got to have around 40 wins.
Oh yeah,
just under, just over, around that number. And I don't think there's a chance the Pistons, unless I'm completely wrong, and Ivy has a breakout season, Cade has his best season. Everybody has their best season. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe they can make the playoffs. But I think if you just win 30 games, if you win 30 to 35 games, I'll take it. That's a success to me. That's all I'm asking for, Sam.
I mean, if they don't add anybody, obviously, and that was the context of the conversation. We were talking about on the show whether you would pay for a guy like Cam Johnson or Harrison Barnes or somebody like that. And Lindsey Hunter said no because he thinks they're fine where they're at least for now, and can compete right away. And when it comes to competing for a play-in, you also have to look at the teams who are in front of them. I don't even know, without getting a significant addition like Cam Johnson, if they even passed the Orlando Magic. I mean, the Orlando Magic, they obviously have a great young nucleus of Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, And I don't know if I like what they did in the draft, getting Anthony Black and Jet Howard. I think those are 2 bust potential candidates, but still, that's all well and good. I think they passed the Washington.
Jet Howard.
Hey, I'm not even going to necessarily disagree with you on that, but Anthony Black, I'm not a fan of Anthony Black, but the Washington Wizards, I think that the Pistons can pass them. They just traded away Bradley Beal, who was their best player, and got Jordan Poole back. And among other things, I don't think they're going to be any good this year. The Charlotte Hornets, maybe even without making a move, they could pass the Charlotte Hornets, although I do like LaMelo Ball when he's healthy, and I think Brandon Miller is going to have a damn good rookie season. There's so much that the Pistons would have to overcome and so many improvements that the Pistons would have to make in order for them to jump all the way from, albeit a misleading 17 wins, to about 40. Last year, the 10 seed was the Toronto Raptors. They had 41.
Yep.
Are you jumping 24 wins without a significant upgrade in free agency? Absolutely not.
No, you can make the argument, Cade. A couple wins, you sprinkle in, you maybe a free agency addition, sprinkle in, but you're asking me to basically over double your win total from last year, and I don't think the Pistons were a 17-win team.
No.
They're much better than that, but still, how much better? 25, 20 wins maybe?
20.
Something
3 to 25.
But even then, Sam, you're asking them to basically double your wins next season. And I'm sorry. Lindsey Hunter, love him. I don't see it. You have to spend some money here in free agency if you're going to try and contend for the play-in. It is what it is. Lucas, why are you doing this?
What am I doing?
Now you got people,
I haven't touched it. Since I put the poll up, I'm letting the people talk.
You got people asking for the tapes like it's a sex tape. Like, what are we doing here? Like,
I mean, to me, it is 2 years off. 2 years off the game, and I come out. And
what tape are you, Lucas? You lost. What tape? Are you
I don't know if I did.
No, you did.
I really don't know if I did, Jeff. That's
if you
my
can
thing.
count, you lost. If you can count,
if you see it that way, that's fine. But I know what the tape shows.
Are you LeVar Ball? Never lost?
Have I ever lost? Is it Lucas? Starts with an L. But it's because that's the one L I'll take in my life. The losses don't come often.
No, they do. Not to you.
Not to Jeff Iafrate.
You took back-to-back losses to me and Gentry. Gentry, the hockey guy.
Gentry, I took an L to, not you though.
Dude, bro,
it's the facts. You might not like the noise that's coming out, but you gotta face it eventually.
I won 7-4.
7-5, me.
Oh, it's 7-4. But even if I gave you 7-5, I still won.
Maybe we just need to play the tapes to prove it.
Oh my, yeah, you're one shot, dude. This is, you know what? I love this, guys. Lucas, I love Lucas, and for Lucas, it's funny because you could tell he's played football and he played college football because the guy does not stop talking, and that's what I love about Lucas. Look at him, drinking his happy dad, thinking it's all
Get
great.
at me.
Talking about tapes. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. You know what? We're gonna get to what's trending with Lucas. You better have some fire. You better have some fire today. You're under the spotlight.
I got a good graphic. It's Detroit Lions related, and I know we have some noise with J-Mo, but I think this one will quiet it majorly. The graphic I have ready for this, so I'm interested to see what you guys have to say about it too.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to it. We're gonna get to what's trending with Lucas. We got to get out of here. Look, you got the people asking about the tapes, guys. It's one shot. He made one shot on it.
It's like Dame against the Thunder, Game 7.
Oh my goodness!
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. All right, you go 1 for 14 from 3, and you record the one make.
Just like I've told you many times, some people when the lights are on, big time moments, they just step up.
God.
When the camera's on, I produce high quality content at all times.
Oh my God, you're a crackhead.
Everyone drop a like. If we can get this to like 125. We'll play the tapes. Is that a deal, Jeff?
Yeah, no. Yeah, we're not doing that. JB, can you tell us about our friends over at Big Boy?
Oh, I will, but Jeff, release the tape. Release the tape.
Jesus.
Let's do it. Anyway, Big Strawberry Fest is back at Big Boy. Try the classic breakfast items like the strawberry hotcakes or that mouth-watering red velvet waffles.
Mouth-watering.
If you're not feeling breakfast, try the strawberry bacon chicken wrap or cool off with their refreshing summer splash salad. And you can't leave without dessert. Try their very delicious classic strawberry pie, deep-fried vanilla Oreos, or the strawberry hot fudge cakes, and so much more at your local Big Boy.
How would you like to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win. Courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome. You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us. Hop on the YouTube chat. Slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
We're back here. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Release the tapes, everyone say. Jeff Iafrate, Sam Flannel, JB, Gabby, and Lucas Klotz. And by the way, it's time for What's Trending with Lucas Klotz.
Indeed it is. So, we are constantly always hearing about this noise surrounding Jameson Williams and the Detroit Lions about, oh, they can't get their stuff together with all the gambling issues and yada, yada, yada. If I can find it. Here we go. I want you to take a look at this. This is the most arrests by team in the NFL since 2020. I want you to look at that bottom right corner.
How'd they get this stat?
Hey, I'm sure Alex in the back was grinding. He pumped this out and sent it to him. Alex is a go back there. But look at this. Tied for the least amount of arrested players since 2000. I would argue 2 of the 3 NFC contenders this year.
Hey.
The Detroit Lions and Philadelphia Eagles. And who do you see at the top there? Well, close to it at 46, the Minnesota Vikings. So I'm done. I don't want to hear another word about the Jameson Williams betting scandal. I don't want to hear anything about it. The Lions are clean and the record proves it.
And that's the most surprising thing because the Lions historically have never really had problems in the NFL like this. So it is a rare case. But when you see something like that, it's crazy to see the arrests as a number. Like, I didn't know that was can you put that back up, the statistic of who took the most L's according to the law here?
I mean, what's happening in Denver?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, even the Patriots having a little more, but again, it makes sense there. Denver, 47.
That's amazing.
Interesting.
I can get Cincinnati. I mean, I'd want to do something too if I was a millionaire in Cincinnati. You don't have anything to do. I would rather live in Toledo than Cincinnati.
Well,
okay,
I mean, as you can see, Lucas, Ohio is up there. I mean, they're both in the top 7. I mean,
we just raise dogs. That's all we do.
Well, yeah, you can call it whatever you want, but that 15 compared to 47 is unreal.
That's a gap.
That's the thing. When you hear about a stat like this, you think that all NFL teams are going to be somewhat similar. It's not going to be one has 15, one has 47. But what is going on with the Denver Broncos? I mean, they won a Super Bowl recently, so
I wonder if they just had like a run where it's just like you know what, like if it was just like in basketball where you go on a little like shooting run there. If they just had like years in a row, like 47 is a lot to compile. And I mean, because you think about it, 53 people on a roster, not many chances. The amount of one of those 53 guys is going to be a criminal, even lower chances. So you get 47 of them in one franchise, it's pretty high. But
yeah, Denver's banking like one a year, like from those numbers.
They're hitting astronomical numbers. And then so obviously that was Detroit Lions news. We're going to take it outside of the Detroit Lions now. And this is Nick Chubb. JB actually sent this to me yesterday, and this is just mind-boggling to me. I don't know how a single human can do this. The bar is literally made to bet.
Yeah, that's absurd. That is.
Explain what's going on, Lucas, for people who are listening to the podcast.
Basically, I would say Nick Chubb has about literally a ton on the squat bar here and is doing his best Lucas Klotz impression and something that Jeff Iafrate could only dream to do. Only dream. But the question is, so I hear a lot of this talk about Nick Chubb. Where do you think Nick Chubb ranks as the NFL as a whole as a running back?
I think Nick Chubb is. I think he's top 3, top 4.
Yeah,
I think so. That's where I think Nick Chubb is.
I feel like Nick Chubb has gotten a little bit underrated because he's not super flashy, and obviously he's played on a Cleveland offensive line, which has been very, very good at run blocking, but all that man does is average 5 yards per carry every single season he plays. So Nick Chubb, in terms of a guy who just keeps the chains moving, he's as good as there is in the NFL. I would take him maybe not as my top running back, but there's no running back I would definitively want ahead of Nick Chubb. I love him. I think he's a future Hall of Famer for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't think he's lower than 3 or 4.
JB, I mean, where are you taking Nick Chubb? If you had to, because if I had to go, I'd go running backs in the NFL right now. I think Christian McCaffrey undoubtedly number 1. Can we all agree with that?
Yes.
Oh yeah. I don't hate it. No.
And then I'm going to go Austin Eckler for right now.
Come on.
At number 2.
Mr. No 1,000-yard season.
Oh, my. Are we going to get into stats?
Yeah, we're going to get into stats. Have 1,000-yard season.
This man has Brandon Staley and has had the most touchdowns year in and year out with, I would say before last year, he had probably the worst offensive line ever, and he's got just that whole team is just weird. And Austin Eckler is one of the only things holding them together. So Austin Eckler, I can see why you don't think 2. I'm going him 2 and Nick Chubb 3. But JB, before we got rudely interrupted, where are you going? Where are you taking Nick Chubb in your running back rankings?
Nick Chubb is definitely top 5. He might be 3 or 4, flirting with either or. I do like that Austin Eckler at 2, though. Sorry, Sam.
What? Is it because of the touchdowns? Is it because of the touchdowns and because of the receiving? I get it. He's an all-around back, but for a lot of his career, he had trouble staying healthy, and he has. You know what? I'm weird. I need my best running back in the league to have 1,000-yard season one time.
That's fair with the injury concern, but we're not going to get on an Austin Eckler debate here. But he had to develop into his role. He was undrafted out of like Western Montana State, A&T University, and he had to grind into his role. They had Melvin Gordon there, and he overtook Melvin Gordon, who at the time was a Pro Bowler. But, my God, just coughed a little bit. Speaking of Pro Bowlers, and some guy that I'm going to be investing a lot in this year, especially fantasy-wise, Trevor Lawrence. Clayton Tune, too. I'm glad you said that one. But Trevor Lawrence, this man's a dog, but there was this footage going around right now of his trash talk from last year, and it's just cringe. Again, some Jeff activity here.
Jesus.
My trash talking abilities.
We're about to tear them up.
Not gonna lie, it's kind of like terrible.
We're about to shred them. Like, we got everything we want.
Can you rate Trevor's trash talk from A to F?
I feel like he's got to work on it a little bit.
I'll take 6. Yeah, come on, keep coming.
Trevor's trash talk maybe need a little work.
Hey, let's go, baby.
He never crosses the line, and it's almost like in a nice way he's talking trash. Nobody usually gets mad at him.
I played better when you hit me, 52. I like it. I'm kind of messed up.
I feel like I have more of a sarcastic trash talking. That's kind of my tactic.
I'm just giving a hug. Thanks, bro.
Hopefully the guys gave me a good grade.
I'd probably give him an F.
I love Trevor Lawrence, but if you want to talk about things that make me cringe more than anything in my life is when you're on a football field and you're just dishing out comments left and right. It's like, I mean, you see how I am. There's Andrew Luck was probably one of the only ones that could get away with it. Now, I'm not saying anything about Trevor Lawrence's talent, but when you're like that, man, you just got to be quiet. But again, we just talked about Nick Chubb. I now want to pose the question to you. I'll give my rankings first, of course, because they're the most accurate as always. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. I'm going to go with Josh Allen. I know Booner's going to like this, is number 3. Then I'm going to have Trevor Lawrence as the 4th best quarterback in the NFL this year. Jeff, where do you think he's going to land?
I'm with you. I'm high on Trevor Lawrence, man. I think he's a top 5 quarterback. I know last year, the season he had, it was kind of a tale of two tapes. He finished it out pretty solid. Playoff game didn't look great, at least the first half.
Yeah,
it looked great in the second half. I love Trevor Lawrence. I think he's a underdog, at least this season, to contend for that MVP award. I do think so. I think he can put up the numbers. I think it makes sense situationally. I think they'll win the division. Like, there's a lot of things I think the Jaguars can do this season. So I'm going to say top 5 for Trevor Lawrence right now.
I would say as high as 4, as low as 6. I would say Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. For me, I would put Justin Herbert and maybe Jalen Hurts and then Trevor Lawrence. But I think Trevor Lawrence is obviously a much better thrower of the football than Jalen Hurts. And it wouldn't shock me to see him overtake Jalen Hurts. But y'all are sleeping on Justin Herbert. I know a lot of people are all like, oh, he hasn't won anything. But you know what? He also is second all-time in terms of touchdown passes thrown by in their first 3 years to Dan Marino. He has 94.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right there. And Justin Herbert is a dog. I don't want to put that.
Yes.
I would probably go 4 Trevor Lawrence, 5 Hurts, and then 6 Herbert.
Okay.
I'm taking Lawrence over Herbert strictly just because of what we saw in the playoff game this year. I don't think there's any way after that you can say that Trevor Lawrence is not or Justin Herbert's better than Trevor Lawrence.
I mean, he definitely had his moments in the second half where he didn't help them hold the lead, but the Chargers defense had a lot to do with that too. But I actually have a crazy stat about Justin Herbert that is going to make you guys really, really upset. But of course, I don't care. In Justin Herbert's one playoff game in which he choked and is proven to be a playoff choker already, he led the Chargers He led the Chargers to 30 points. Which is very, very good and usually enough to win. In Tom Brady's entire first Super Bowl run, he led the Patriots to 29 offensive points combined in 3 games.
I don't care.
That's
Tom
factual.
Brady got a ring out of it. That's the thing. Where it's just like, okay, the stats are good, but why are the stats happening? It's because the team is better when they do this. And I'm not saying any of this is off Justin Herbert. but let's not compare Justin Herbert and Tom Brady.
I'm not saying that. I'm giving Justin Herbert some context. That's all I'm doing. You think I'm saying that Justin Herbert's better than Tom Brady? I'm not an idiot.
Okay, as long as we can stand there. But JB, what are you thinking? Where do you think Trevor Lawrence ranks around the NFL?
I think I'm right along with you guys around that 4 range. 6 is probably like his absolute bottom right there, but my man has to improve on his trash talking. I don't know what that was at all.
Just going Jeff out there activity.
Like, hey, we're going to beat those guys. Yeah, let's go get them.
Hey, Lucas, where do you think my trash talking ranks in comparison to his?
Gabby, you have had like a Josh Allen development as far as trash talk. When you came in here, there wasn't much of it, but now it's almost like every time, like you're just taking shots at everybody, and it's great. See, when you have energy like that, and anywhere in life, if you bring the juice, you bring the sauce, it fires everybody up, and even if they don't like what they're talking about, they're fired up.
Yeah.
So Gabby, kudos to you.
So I'm above.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
I feel like she digs a little deeper than Trevor Lawrence. I think Gabby gets a little more personal, I feel like.
Yeah,
rather than Trevor's like, hey, man, we're like, JB, we're going to beat those guys.
I mean,
am I kidding me?
I don't think Trevor Lawrence's trash talk is that bad.
Flannel, that's appropriate for you to think, but that's
trash talk is also one of the most overrated aspects in sports.
No, that works. If you can get into somebody's head with trash talk, they don't even know what they're doing.
Well, but you know what? This is another thing a lot of people aren't going to like. I remember in the Bad Boys documentary, a great documentary, by the way, when Joe Dumars was talking about how teams would be like, oh, we're going to get them, and Joe Dumars is like, that's it, we already won. Come on, get the F out of here. The Pistons were more talented than most teams. It wasn't just because of trash talk.
No, but
stop it.
But that I mean, not the trash talk alone, but how they played. Like it's like the culture almost. Like when we talk about CJ and why I'm over here chugging beers at 9:50 in the morning, is because of the juice that he brings, and he's gonna get Kirby. Kirby's gonna be chirping more. Tracy's gonna be chirping more.
Yeah.
The whole defense is gonna be chirping more, and it creates a new culture. The sauce needs to be brought at all times.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll go to break here. We'll get to mailbag, and don't worry, I'm gonna address some of these questions. I see your
You
comments.
see that like number. You see that.
I see the like number. I see the like number. Okay, we're gonna go to break. When we get back, get your questions ready for Sam, me, JB, Lucas, Gabby, whoever you want to ask a question to. We'll try to get to all of them. But before we do, can you tell us about our friends over at Swiss Insurance?
Of course I can. And now that summer's here, it is important to make sure you are properly covered. Whether it's a grad party or just a group of people over to enjoy the lake or pool, your liability exposure increases significantly in summertime. Let the Swiss Insurance Group review your coverage and make sure you are protected from an unexpected loss. Check us out at swissins.com or call Mark today at 248-800-4177. That is 248-800-4177, Swiss Insurance.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
We're back. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Release the tapes. Release the tapes.
I'm grabbing them.
And don't worry, we're going to show it. Who gives a damn? Jeff Iafrate, Sam Flannel, JB, Gabby, Alex Westfall, and Lucas Klotz. Get to mailbag. Get your questions ready. Everybody talking about the tapes, by the way. I have no ill will about the tapes. All right, it is what it is.
I disagree. There was harsh comments coming my way.
And we don't need to get into why I was concerned there, but the actual shot, it is what it is. Lucas made it. It was a nice shot. He switched.
It was flawless.
It was flawless. Now, mind you, he can't shoot, so that's why it's even better, because it was probably your only make that day.
Let's let the tape decide, shall we?
Yes, check this out.
Saying I can't shoot. My lord. This is prime Pat Bev material
right
here.
Let's see it.
Oh, yeah, so a brick.
Look at this.
Throw him the finger.
Good defense. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Get off of me.
No, mind you, I'm heartbroken. By the way,
you think you could come in my... Wow, I'm going to pause that statement. You think you can, hand in the face, you think you have a difference on my jump shot? Child, please. As Chad Ochocinco says, Chad,
Okay,
please.
now mind you, I got to be the bigger person here because I won the game. Obviously, that's what matters.
If
I won
that's what he has to tell
7-4,
himself to
so
sleep
I'm not
at night.
concerned about a shot. But I got to give Lucas credit here. That was impressive. I was in his face. I kind of disrespected him because he can't shoot, so I gave him a little bit of space, and he made the shot. He swished it.
I mean, here's the thing, Jeff. You're saying you won. Lucas, you're saying you won.
No, that's fake. He did not win.
I actually believe Jeff, and here's why. Because you're only showing Lucas one shot. You're becoming like that guy who just bricks all game and then makes that one shot and it's just like, you can't hold me. I am the best shooter. You can't stop me. You're becoming that guy, Lucas. You're becoming that do nothing all game and then make the one shot and
If you
brag
want to
and get all
build
the
a
credit.
hate flannel, you can get to work too. Any
Hey.
day of the week, Monday through Sunday, as
You know
Jeff
what?
would say, twice on Sundays.
You know what? I don't think I could beat either of you. I
No.
have claimed very much that I
And
am
that's-
one of the worst athletes at the network.
And that's why it's funny because again, like it's a nice shot. Like I can't even lie. Lucas swished that thing. Like I'm giving you credit. I would have been more frustrated if I lost the game, which that never will or did happen. I'd not.
2
really-
years off, and I hit that shot in your face, shaking off the rust.
I mean,
give me a week.
Lucas, you got to hit one.
I did. Do I need to look at this?
Yeah, I know.
Look at this form.
You hit one.
Let's see it again.
Yeah, no, it was great.
Finger
I'm
four.
sagging off.
Yeah.
It was great. Fundamentals. I just wish we could have shown the rest of that game. I just wish.
I told
'Cause I don't think
Gentry.
you scored after that.
Oh, that was the first shot of the game.
Oh, so you scored 2 more points.
Yeah, I 3 more. One in the paint, bodied
was
you up a little bit.
7-4. It's funny because I said it was 7-4. You're like, yeah, you're right. But then on the show now it's 7-5. See how you switch up when we
I
go
just got to
live?
keep you contained at all times.
You know what?
Can't have you go Hollywood on me.
The New Age says Jeff was doing that disrespectful Caitlin Clark defense. Yeah, that's true. I was sagging off. I didn't think he could shoot, and he can't, but he made that shot. So credit to Lucas for that. Booner says that form looks like Austin Day.
Ooh, that's actually pretty accurate.
That's true.
one,
Chuck says that was so deep. Give him 4-4.
That's what I'm saying. See, so it is 5. It is 7-5.
Lucas,
Chuck
come
Day, the
on,
GOAT.
dude.
Just
Come
wait.
on.
It's only time till I'm the next Austin Reeves. I'm
Yeah.
already pretty much Alex Caruso, Patrick Beverly.
We gotta do it. I mean, we talk about this all the time at Woodward Sport. A lot of guys over here like to play basketball, but we got to get an actual game, like where we have a 5-on-5.
Oh, 5-on-5.
That would be interesting because one-on-ones. I think I'm the king of one-on-ones here at the network. No one here has beaten me in a one-on-one. Now, if we go bigger than Woodward Sports, I'll probably get beat.
Sure,
but I'm confident to say, I mean, besides maybe Kool-Aid. I mean,
Kool-Aid's working you for sure.
But anybody, Lucas, Mike Gentry, I want all the smoke. I want the smoke. But Lucas, you switched that shot. I can't lie.
I appreciate you. I'll give you your flowers. You had a nice. That was right after I played Gentry. Wind was down. I was like, you know what? Let the kid have one.
You know what's
He
funny?
needs it.
We played our game, and then I went, Gentry, you want to go? I gave Gentry just got done playing. I gave him time to rest.
That's that dad age, though.
And I'm coming off playing a one-on-one. I go, Gentry, get in. That's one-on-one. He goes, no, I'm okay.
I'm good.
Come on, Gentry. Come on, man. Stop running. Stop running.
The 5-on-5 game, I definitely want to. I would participate in that.
Sam Flannel, you're a spot-up shooter. What would you do? What position would you play?
I would probably play the 4 or the 5. I'm very my shot is very, very streaky. I can't dribble worth a damn, but I can run the floor. I can get rebounds and maybe throw an outlet pass. You'll see.
Speakeasy says Spenny is running your shit, Jeff. I would love to see that. By the way, unless he posts me up for 8 consecutive possessions, but if we're actually playing, I'm putting Spenny in a blender, man. I'm sorry. It is what it is. John Lord says, you say you can beat Lindsay. Okay, Lindsay is, I'm not taking Lindsay. All right. I should say that professional players are not on the table. I'm talking, all the people here besides the professional athletes. I'll take my money on me. I will. I'm sorry. It's the confidence, baby. That's all it is. Speakeasy says Gentry's pull-out game is strong.
Ooh.
Well, Easy seems to know too much about that information. That's interesting. Flannel is a manager.
Real original, guys. I knew that one was coming. But
Flannel would be the Juwan Howard of whatever
guy,
team he's coaching. He's Juwan Howard.
Is Flannel the guy they put at the end of the game and he swishes a 3 and everyone goes crazy?
Oh, like the last guy on the bench, the walk.
Flannel.
So I'd be like that guy on the Indiana bench who always wears the striped pants and gets in on senior day, and they're just like, please make this shot. And I just get mobbed by the whole crowd because I made my only points of my career in the last game of senior day. I think I'd make the shot though.
Yeah, Sam. I would love to see Sam. I'll take Sam on my team.
Appreciate
I'll
that.
take Sam. I got you.
Hey.
Detroit Dabber says Flannel is equipment manager at best.
No, I never played even high school basketball.
Hey,
That's fair.
Booner says Flannel is Steven Izzo.
I mean, he's probably right.
I love that. I love it.
Hey, you can at least know that you definitely play better basketball than I do.
No, Gabby. You might give
Yeah.
Jeff the work, Gabby. I would take Gabby
Hand-eye
over Jeff.
coordination is not fantastic.
I would be like,
you said your hand-eye coordination.
Booner, you might remember this guy. What's that Bartlestein who played on Michigan, or McLymans or whatever their names were? Some of those last guys on the bench. That would be me.
Yeah, you're the guys throwing towels to players. They come off the court. There you go. Clean up. You're good.
Doing those coordinated dances on the sideline when everybody makes those threes or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like whatever those people do.
No, Sam,
you
you'd fill any role you're asked to.
Thank
do.
you.
And that's why I appreciate you. And I appreciate every single one of you for taking the time out of your morning to tune into the Morning Woodward Show. From Jeff Iafrate, Sam Flannel, JB, Gabby, who's now back and will be back the rest of the week, and Lucas Klotz for holding it down in the TD booth with Alex Westfall. We thank you. Thank you, guys. Leave a like before you leave. Hit the subscribe button. Go check out our website. Wonderful articles, merchandise, and much more. And leave a 5-star review for us on Spotify, Apple Music. But until tomorrow, to recap the NHL draft, we'll see you guys then.